What is up, everyone, and welcome back to some more Katawa Shoujo. In the previous recording, we finally got to the romance of the story. Our two lovebirds finally confessed their feelings to each other. They had some cute little smoochy moments, and now the relationship has begun. But already we're starting to see where the seeds of drama are starting to take root, and I'm sure they're going to come to fruition here in the near future. So without further ado, let's pick off right where we left off. Class is uneventful, and after the final bell rings, I find myself alone with Muto again. So, looks like we've all assembled for the second meeting of the Science Club. Or is it the first? What do you think? Should we count yesterday as a meeting? Well, we did form the club yesterday, didn't we? That seems like club business, so we can safely call yesterday a meeting. Muto smiles in his usual stilted and awkward way. I wonder if the muscles in his face are just not shaped correctly to let him smile naturally. We really do have a knack for this, I think. Logical thought processes, that is. I guess so. The scientist speaks with authority, so the answer is yes, I do. When the world wants to know how it works, we tell it, even if all we got is a decent hypothesis. But we must sound certain anyway, because we're the authorities on the subject, right? He chuckles to go along with his awkward smile at his awkward joke. I'm doing my best not to grimace, but I don't think I'm being too successful. That's entirely false, of course. We know a lot, sure, but nobody's an expert on how the world works. If only because nobody can be sure. With no certainty, there are no experts. But we like to pretend sometimes. There's some things we can be certain of, right? Yes, but no. We know gravity's there, for example. To illustrate, Muto picks up a pencil and drops it. See? Still there, but it's good to check every once in a while. That's why you'll still see researchers mucking about it with gravity. We're pretty sure we know how it works, but there's always a chance that something isn't how we think it is. So you check and check and check. That's science in a nutshell, Isao. The whole time I've listened, feeling rather spellbound. Muto seems to really be passionate about this stuff. I think. It's hard to tell sometimes. How the world works. How humans work. How the universe works. All these questions to be answered. And depending on what I go into, maybe I could even figure out a way to fix my heart. That said, I don't think that's a real priority for me. Besides, as we start discussing the book he gave me yesterday, I find myself more and more interested in that than my heart condition. Before we even realize it, an hour's gone by. No, let's call this meeting over for now, okay? We'll have another meeting tomorrow, or the day after. He considers this for a moment. Oh, the day after. We got a lot of grading to do. Okay, see you then. As I exit the classroom, I realize that I don't really have anything to do tonight. Amy and I didn't make plans, so I guess I'll go to the library. Beats doing homework in my room anyway. The library always seems cooler than the rest of the building. Probably to keep the books from getting damaged by excessive heat and humidity. Books are sturdy objects, but if you want to keep them in good condition, it takes a little effort. I've got several books that are so well worn the pages are barely clinging to the spine. It seems impossible for them to still be usable, but if you handle them with care. I make my way to the main desk where I spot Yuko busying herself with something or another. She smiles at me as I enter and waves. Hello, Hisao. Good to see you again. What are you looking for this time? Nothing in particular, I guess. I just didn't really feel like going back to my room is all. Yuko nods. Well, if you're unoccupied, maybe you could help me look for something? Sure, what do you need? Yuko brings a finger to her lips and looks around furtively. She seems to be looking for eavesdroppers. Come closer. I take a few hesitant steps forward while feeling distinctly unnerved. Yuko lowers her voice to a confidential whisper. I'm on the trail of the Yamaku cat burglar. The what? Shh! Walls have ears, Hisao. Or they might. But listen, those missing books, remember them? Yeah? Well, they weren't missing. They were stolen. I'm convinced of it. I remember you saying something of the sort earlier, but how do you know? Yuko leans in closer and, if possible, whispers even lower. Because I found one of his hiding places. You did what? Yuko looks triumphant. Found one of his stashes. It was under one of the stairwells in the boys' dorm.
3 books I've been looking for, all there. I had suspected a thief before, but this proves it.
So did you take back the books? Yuko looks as if I've just suggested she walk around naked.
Are you nuts? He can't know I'm onto him. He might go to ground and evade capture.
Uh-huh. So what do you need my help with then? Yuko casts another glance around the library and leans in closer.
You've got a spy for me.
Spy?
Yeah, like when you're in the dorms, you know? Keep an eye out for suspicious activity.
What constitutes suspicious anyway? I mean, Kenji's a pretty suspicious dude, but I'll wager he barely goes to class, much less sneaks into the library to pilfer books. Still, what's the harm in saying yes? At the least, it'll get me out of this weird conversation. Yeah, I can do that, no problem. Yuko straightens up and claps excitedly.
Great. Now hurry up and talk about something else in case someone comes in. How's the school treating you?
Pretty well, actually. Been running in the mornings with...
Emi and Badazaki, right?
Yeah. How'd you know?
I served you two in the tea house, remember? I deduced that if you were going to run with anyone, it would probably be her.
She looks pleased with herself. Impressive. Anyway, yes, we've been running in the mornings. And, we kinda started dating. Yuko claps her hands together excitedly.
Really? That's great. I'll bet you two are great together. I love seeing people find one another like that, you know? I even thought to myself when you walked into the Shanghai that one time, wonder if that kid will wind up with one of those girls.
Really? Yuko doesn't seem to notice my somewhat weirded out tone and nods affirmatively.
Yep, I could tell that you'd wind up with one of them, you know? I've got an eye for that sort of thing. Of course.
Her expression droops slightly.
I'm not so good at it myself.
Ah, I'm sure that's not true.
Oh, it's true. I met this guy once. We got along really great, but it turned out he was younger than me. And that was kind of weird, but not terribly so. What was really weird was that he disappeared one day, and I've not seen him since then.
Huh, that does seem kind of odd.
Doesn't it? I hope it wasn't something I did.
I feel compelled to reassure her. I'm sure it wasn't. I intend to try and calm her down further, but the both of us jump in surprise at the ringing suddenly coming from my pocket. Yuko tries to steady herself as I pull the phone from my pocket, feel a little sheepish for indirectly causing the incident. Emmy, what's up?
Oh, thank God I haven't called your phone before, so I didn't know if this number would work or whether you'd pick up, and I can't...
Whoa there, Emmy, slow down. What's wrong? There's a pause on the other side of the line, during which I can hear Emmy trying to control her breathing in order to calm down. Something's got her terribly agitated and it's starting to agitate me.
Can you stop by? Like now, or shortly after now? I really need to talk to you.
There's a tone of pleading in that last sentence that I don't think I've ever heard from her. Of course, I'll be right there. Hold steady, okay? In my increasingly agitated state, I've apparently started saying things that don't quite make sense.
Okay, I'll be okay.
See you soon. Press the button to end the call before slipping the phone back into my pocket. Apologize to Yuko for running off and run off. Perhaps at some point I would have stopped to think about the time or how suspicious it looks for a guy to enter the girl's dorm at this hour. Except right now I'm just concerned with getting to Emmy and finding out what's wrong and how I can help her. Knock on the door and am greeted with a subdued, "Come in." Something is very wrong as I stare at the scene before me. Emmy's there, yes, but she's in a wheelchair, and her legs are missing. I glance around the room and see them sitting in a corner, looking like they've been thrown there. Emmy responds to my entrance with a lopsided grin that's both pleased to see me and completely, utterly heartbroken.
Hi, Isao.
Looks like she's been crying, but if she has, she's stopped now. I notice that I'm a little out of breath, having taken the stairs 2 at a time in order to get here. My heart doesn't seem to mind the strain, though. I file this happy fact away for later consideration. Like when I'm not staring somewhat dumbstruck at my girlfriend in a wheelchair. Realizing I've still not responded to her greeting, my brain lurches into gear. Emmy, what happened?
Guess I should have listened to you, Hisao. My leg's got a nasty infection. I'm not allowed to run on it for at least a couple of weeks.
She gives a bitter laugh that shouldn't be coming from her.
I can't even walk on it. I could have used a crutch and kept one on my legs, but I didn't see the point. Why hop? You can't run on one leg. At least this way I can still, I don't know, roll fast or something?
Yeah, that's good, right? My awkward attempt to look on the bright side seems appreciated, but not really effective. Emmy shrugs again.
It's just kind of a nuisance. I mean, we can't even eat up on the roof now. No wheelchair access.
Yeah, but that's not a big deal, right? I mean, we can still eat together, and that's the important thing. The lopsided grin again hurts to look at.
I suppose so, yeah. But like I said, it's a nuisance. I mean, I haven't really used a wheelchair in
She thinks for a minute.
maybe 7 years? Something like that, anyway. A long time. I'm afraid I'm a bit out of practice.
Well, fortunately, it's only temporary, right? Emmy nods.
Oh, yeah, of course. It's not like I've lost him permanently. But it's a pain in the ass all the same.
I nod sympathetically. There's not much else I can do after all. What am I gonna do? Say I told you so? Though I did tell her to get that leg looked at. But by the time I noticed, it was too late anyway. Do you need help with anything? That is, can I help with anything? Emmy shakes her head and there's a bit of her usual grin back.
Nah, I can manage fine by myself. Although, if you want to help me over to my bed, it would save me the trouble of rolling over there myself.
I blush in spite of myself. Emmy giggles.
You're such a prude, Hisao.
I'm not a prude, I just wouldn't want to take advantage of a young woman such as yourself. It's ungentlemanly. I wheel Emmy's chair to her bed and easily scoop her up and deposit her there. She quickly sorts herself out and sits on the side. She's actually a little heavier than she looks. It would be rude of me to observe this aloud, of course. Man, you're kind of heavy. It would be rude to say it out loud, so I did. Emmy hits me with the pillow.
Ass.
Just saying is all. Must be all that running. The mention of running, Emmy's grin falters slightly.
Well, I guess I won't have to worry about that for a bit, huh? Maybe I'll lose some weight.
That's what you do to lose weight, right? Cease physical activity?
I'm pretty sure that's what the nurse would recommend.
Speaking of which, are you going to still be showing up in the mornings? I'd hate to run
Ah, shit.
Emmy's sudden interjection, more disquieted muttering than anything too profane, caused me to look over in shock. She's leaning forward, trying to cover the fact that she's crying by covering her eyes with the hand. Of course, the subdued sobbing makes it pretty obvious that she's crying. Hey, I'm sorry. Forget I said anything, okay? Place a hand gingerly around her and pull her close. I can think of nothing else to say or do. How do you comfort someone who's just lost their legs again? Emmy wraps me in a hug and stays that way for a while. Sorry. I'm pretty bad at this whole comforting thing, I guess.
Don't say that. I'm fine. Really.
Her voice is slightly muffled by my chest. I pet her head reassuringly. That's the spirit, right? You'll get through this fine, I know it. Besides, I'm here to help you, remember? Emmy lifts her head and stares at me with tear-stained eyes.
Can you? Can you really?
She's grinning lopsidedly and something sparkles in her gaze. Can't tell if I'm being mocked or not. Of course. I mean, sure, you're a bit heavy, but... My witty comment is cut off by the sudden press of Emmy's lips on mine. Got off guard and rewarded by hitting my head on the wall behind her bed. Ow. Emmy pulls back, trying to look concerned rather than like she's about to laugh.
Are you okay? Sorry.
I rub my head ruefully and grin back at her. Caught me off guard there. Is that going to become a habit? Am I going to be lectured by Shizune and Misha more? At the mention of the duo, Emmy giggles.
Honestly, those two. If I didn't know why, I'd be utterly confused as to why she hangs around with someone so bossy.
Which one are we talking about?
You know exactly which one, Hisao. Misha is hardly bossy.
So what's the reason then?
Huh?
The reason why Misha hangs around Shizune? Emmy waves my question off with a smile.
No idea.
I see.
Anyway, you seem to be forgetting the original question, don't you?
Oh yeah, I guess I am. You wouldn't mind giving a guy a little warning, would you? Otherwise, I'm liable to wind up with a concussion. I emphasize the point by rubbing at the back of my head. Emmy giggles madly.
You could wear a helmet. Some kids here do, you know.
Or I could just take revenge. I grab a pillow from beside me and whack Emmy over the head. Boom. Emmy topples off the bed and lands on the floor with a thump. Her arms promptly reappear on the bed and she manages to pull herself back up. She really has a surprising amount of strength in that little body. Her face is turned downwards and away from mine, making me think I might have accidentally hurt her. Emmy? You okay? You didn't hit your... A hand shoots up and grabs my collar. She pulls me in with a sharp tug, and her face now barely an inch away from mine as she grins cheekily. Emmy? She gives me a sharp headbutt, our foreheads making quite a loud thud. I sit back and rub my now sore head as Emmy smirks victoriously.
How's that for revenge?
No fair. Can't take revenge for revenge. For someone missing most of her legs, Emmy's surprisingly agile. I swipe at her, but she definitely rolls out of the way and lands a hit with her pillow. Of course, the odds are against her. I can stand up for starters. Hell yeah. Guess I can't, after all. Emmy seems to have effectively tripped me up and is now sitting primely astride me as I lay on my back. Not even sure how she managed it.
I win.
Her eyes twinkle mischievously. Been thoroughly defeated, and by a girl that's a fraction of my size at that. Then again, being defeated doesn't seem quite so bad. Emmy being positioned over my waist isn't something that I, or my body, can ignore easily. I open my lips to speak, but Emmy's head darts downward before I can get so much as a word out. I give no resistance as she presses her mouth to mine. Not that I'd want to. This is different somehow. She pulls back, nips at my lower lip, and reinitiates the embrace. Her tongue darts inside my mouth, exploring. I feel a warmth spreading through my body as my heart begins to beat faster. My mind starts to go foggy. I become vaguely aware of my hand traveling up Emmy's blouse. Emmy gasps as I reach a breast. Then there's a giggle. And then... I stare up, grinning at Emmy.
Told you. That's my second win now.
What? That doesn't count. Used feminine wiles.
All's fair in love and war, right? Ha! You're even blushing. I didn't know you were a blusher, Hisao.
You were blushing too, you know. Probably because of your prudish ways. Even I've got to admit this is a stupid thing to say to a woman who is currently straddling me and has been, up until a few seconds ago, playing tonsil hockey with me.
A prude, am I? Well then, let's see who blushes first, shall we?
I'm not sure whether the tone of her voice terrifies or arouses me, but the question is quickly made rather mute. Hell yeah. The sunlight breaks through my window shortly before my alarm ruins the morning silence. I feel sore. The events of the previous evening suddenly intrude upon my consciousness, and I find myself blushing. That was an eventful evening. It explains perfectly the soreness in my lower back. The walk back, as I recall, had been rather tense. My trousers having been soiled, I had washed them off in the bathroom before going back to my room. There was still a fairly obvious looking stain on the front. Fortunately for me, the only person I ran into on my way back was Kenji. He didn't notice a thing. Well, apart from my being in the general vicinity. Of course, he'd asked how the night went and whether or not I'd learned anything of importance. I don't even know if I opened my mouth to answer. I was too tired to care. This morning, I'll admit that I'm feeling pretty worn out. Still, Emmy had promised to meet me at the track, and I'd hate to disappoint. She's indeed waiting for me when I arrive, doing her best to look cheery despite the fact that she's sitting in a wheelchair. I wave to her and begin stretching. You're early. Emmy frowns and shakes her head.
Ridiculous. You're late. Overslept, Hisao? All tuckered out?
Well, at least she seems more like her old self. And as expected, she doesn't seem that shy about mentioning our, previous activities. Hey, you're lucky I could show up at all. All that cardiovascular activity last night, I nearly thought I'd have to see the nurse afterwards. Emmy laughs out loud, and then her face suddenly becomes concerned.
Hey, that's not you're not.
Go on, spit it out.
It's just that it would be hard to explain if you had an episode while we were...
Oh. Now that you mention it, it really is a legitimate concern. Certainly hadn't thought of it last night, of course. Other, more pressing concerns had been at hand. Well, I don't think anything we are do is going to be any more of a strain than these morning runs. I handle those fine, so Emmy considers this point. I fucking love that face so goddamn much. Whenever she does this little devious fucking face, I love it. Oh, it's just great. A devious light appears in her eyes.
Say.
Hmm? The light vanishes and Emmy grins ruefully at me. Can't help but feel vaguely suspicious.
Seem to have forgotten a pair of gloves.
What do you need gloves for? Emmy indicates the chair upon which she's seated.
For this, of course. Sure, regular moving around is all well and good without them, but I want to be able to get a good workout. And to get that kind of speed, you gotta have gloves. You don't want blisters.
So what, are you wussing out on me then? Or do I have to go it alone? Emmy thinks for a minute, or pretends to think.
If I remember right, there's a spare pair or two in the track shed.
Yep, track shed scene. I fucking love this scene. So she does seriously want to do it then. But in her normal school uniform, I expected her to wear a gym outfit for something like this. Wait, what are they doing there? Emmy looks askance at me.
Seriously? You can't think of why a shed full of track supplies at a school for the disabled would have racing gloves?
Well, when she puts it that way, I suppose that makes perfect sense. Hey, I'm still getting used to this place. Give me a break, huh?
I guess I can let it slide this time. Now come on, I'll need your help.
Can't imagine what for, but then again, I didn't have a clue why racing gloves would be in the shed, so I'm not willing to press the issue. Emmy navigates her way to the shed easily enough, though I can hear her grumbling under her breath. It's actually kind of cute. I hurry a little to reach the door first. Opening it will be easier for me than her. The door opens and Emmy starts to wheel inside, only to come to a sudden halt at the doorway. Seems the door sill is slightly too high for her to get over by herself. She makes a few runs at it, unsuccessfully, before crossing her eyes and glaring at the offending object.
Stupid wheelchair. Peace out, can you give me a hand here?
Sure, no problem. Simple enough matter for me to bump Emmy over the doorway, jostling her slightly.
Hey, easy there.
Whoops, sorry. It's about this time that I fail to notice where I'm going and run Emmy's chair into a mat. She gives a startled yelp and topples forward out of her chair. There's a moment of silence as I gaze in horror upon what I've done, and Emmy glares at me.
Isao.
Yes?
Promise me you'll never work at a hospital.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. Emmy giggles and holds up a hand.
Would you kindly help me back into my chair, Hisao?
As I bend down to pick up Emmy, she grins in triumph and pulls me into a kiss that quickly has us both entirely unconcerned about getting her back into the chair. In fact, as I move to a more comfortable position, I confess the chair is pushed out the door, which, startled by the passage, swings shut. Normally I cut these scenes out, but got just this screenshot alone. Obviously I'm gonna have to do some censoring here, but
this fucking screenshot always cracks me the fuck up. That face, that one word is mwah, perfect. I fucking love the track shed scene so much, man. That's the thing, like, what I love about this scene more than anything isn't like the actual act itself, it's the fact that like it's this erotic scene, but it's hilarious. Every step of the way to go through this scene is just fucking hilarious. It's like one of the few times I've found an H scene to be just genuinely funny. Not like in the past there's been scenes that are just so weirdly written to where I find it humorous, the language choice and whatnot, or that everything just seems kind of so awkward and weirdly done that I find it funny. This one is just naturally funny. The scene itself is funny and I love it. It's so fucking good. But I had to cut it and just show this one screenshot because I fucking love it, dude. I fucking love it.
Fucking love Emmy. It takes some time, but finally, we're both more or less clothed. Fucking love that scene so much. That's the entire reason I even bothered with installing the patch to restore the H scenes and whatnot. The entire reason right there. Because I strongly believe all these stories are perfectly fine without the H scenes involved. Like, if you want them, by all means, go get the patch. It's free, whatever. The only reason I wanted it installed is for going down Emmy's route is because this scene right here, it's well done. It's not like the H scene is bad, but it's just so comical, and I love it. It's fucking hilarious. I love it so much. Oh, it's so fucking good. Anyway, there's a frantic moment where neither of us knows where Emmy's wheelchair is, but I recall it going through the door and rescue it.
Now be more careful going through the door this time, would you? Bumps are not my friend right now.
I'm so sorry we tried this. Emmy shrugs and grins.
Oh, so worth a shot, right? And anyway, it was good exercise, right?
Can't argue that. As we make our way up to the nurse's office, I notice that Emmy keeps shifting uncomfortably in her seat.
God, this feels weird. Good thing I'm in a wheelchair, Isao.
Why's that?
Because now I don't have to explain to the nurse why I'm walking funny.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh. We're never doing this again. The nurse is at least kind enough to not comment on the marks that Emmy left on my shoulders. Nor does he say a word about Emmy's constant shifting about in her wheelchair. Either he didn't notice, or he didn't want to notice. All the same, I'm gonna have to make sure he didn't slip cyanide into my medication for a little while. Just to be safe. I shower for longer than usual, just to be sure I'm clean of our little experiment, and then collapse on my bed. Less than 20 minutes, so I can probably afford a nap. Who's there? It's not how the joke goes at all. I already said who's there. More importantly, what time is it? More importantly, what day? I'm suddenly catapulted into wakefulness by both the fact that the knocking still hasn't stopped and the fact that it's noon on a school day. Now fully awake, I can remember why I was napping. Better not give that excuse to Muto. Sorry I wasn't in class, I was experimenting sexually with my girlfriend and it tired me out. Yeah, that'll go over well. I wonder how long this knocking is going to continue. Guess I ought to answer the door. I'm strangely unsurprised to see Kenji on the other side. It appears that Kenji is surprised to see me.
What the hell are you doing here, man?
Well, I was sleeping. Kenji nods in understanding.
Knocked out, I see. I told you to be careful around the Ibarazaki chick, man. This is the sort of thing that happens when you aren't cautious.
Makes an attempt to look at the back of my head.
Did she hit you with something? Or was it a drug?
Stop trying to touch me. Kenji produces a flashlight and shines at my eyes.
You got a concussion?
I wasn't knocked out.
Maybe you just don't remember.
This conversation isn't going anywhere. No, I just had a tiring morning and fell asleep.
Whatever, man. You want to be in denial about this, I guess I can't stop you. But you gotta watch out for that girl, man. She's not safe.
What?
She's not safe to be around. She's one of their most sinister agents. If you're not careful, there's no telling what could happen. She's brought down stronger men than you know.
What the hell are you talking about? She's not an agent of anything, and she didn't knock me out, okay? I also highly doubt that she's brought down anyone at all. Kenji looks most offended. I have no idea why.
You don't believe me? That's cold, man. Real cold. I'm just trying to look out for you. That's what friends do, you know.
We're friends? I had no idea. Then again, I wonder if Kenji knows what being a friend even entails. I feel something like pity for him standing there before me. Maybe he does think he's looking out for me. I know. I'm sorry about that. Thanks for the warning. I held out my hand as a sign of peace. Kenji shakes it gingerly, like my hand could possibly be on fire. There's an awkward silence for a few seconds before Kenji remembers that he's still shaking my hand.
Anyway, I need a favor.
What kind of favor? I'm out of money.
No, you aren't. You've got money kept in your desk drawer under a black notebook for emergencies.
Did you ransack my room?
That's not important. I don't need money anyway.
He adopts a very serious tone.
I'm about to undertake a major op. It'll blow the whole conspiracy wide open if I'm right. But it's dangerous, so I need you to do something for me in case I don't come back.
Sure, man. Anything. What the hell's he planning on doing? Should I be telling someone about this?
If I go missing, wait 3 days, and then mail my journal off to the newspapers. It's hidden in my room under a false bottom in one of my desk drawers.
How do I get into your room? I don't have a key. Kenji looks at me like I'm crazy.
So pick the lock. You know how to do that, right? It's an important skill to learn at a young age.
Yeah. Of course I know how. I'll be sure to, do that for you if you go missing. I don't think I want to read Kenji's journal. Either way, Kenji seems pretty happy that I've agreed to do this thing for him.
Great, man. Great. I'll see you around. I got stuff to do.
And he's gone, dashing down the hallway. He made it seem so final. I hope I don't have to carry out its final wishes. Shaking my head, I close my door and walk to my bed. Guess I should go to class, if only to catch the last half of the day. I've come this far without going to class today. I did want to read more of that Hawking book Muto lent me. I'm sure I'll understand. This time the noise jerks my attention away from my book. An experience not unlike being woken up. Who's there?
Me, aren't you glad?
Voice is muffled through the door, but unmistakably Emmy's. I hop up and open the door, smiling broadly. Hey, nice to see you again. Emmy grins back, staring up at me from her wheelchair.
Yeah, you would have seen me. Oh, shit. You would have seen me earlier, but the damned elevator wasn't working. Had to wait for them to fix it. You'd think they could keep it in better order, but no.
I chuckle a bit at her vexed expression and invite her in. She wheels in easily, and with my help, she hops onto my bed.
There, much more comfortable in that stupid chair.
A sigh of contentment hangs in the air, and for a minute, we both stare at one another. It's at that point that I notice the circles under Emmy's eyes. They're not that dark, but they definitely weren't there before. Before I can ask about them, Emmy fixes me with a mischievous stare.
I couldn't help but notice you weren't at lunch today. In fact, I don't think I saw you at all. What happened?
Fell asleep. I actually didn't wake up until lunch, and only then because Kenji woke me up.
What had you so tired?
Strenuous workout this morning. Slightly uncomfortable, too. Emmy coughs a half-laughing, half-embarrassed noise.
Remind me not to do that again.
No problem. Wasn't exactly great for me either, to be honest. We'll just avoid that from now on. Are you, still sore? Emmy stares at me in disbelief. What? It's a legitimate question.
All the questions I never thought I'd be asked. That's one of them.
Well, I didn't ever expect to have to ask it, so we're even. Emmy laughs at this.
I guess so, huh? Well, since you asked, yes, I'm still a little sore. We're never doing that again.
No arguments from here. A yawn escapes her and I raise an eyebrow. Tired? Emmy nods sleepily.
Haven't slept well.
Not sleeping well. I can tell that she didn't mean to tell me this either, because she gives a little start like she's been caught lying and hastens to add.
It's not a big deal, though.
What's the trouble? Emmy shrugs and refuses to elaborate. Stressed over exams? Another shrug, but after a pause, Emmy nods hesitantly.
Yeah, I guess. Actually, that's why I stopped by.
She begins to look more and more miserable. Not so you'd notice, of course, but her eyes are on her lap, she's fidgeting, and her voice is quiet.
We, need to stop hanging out so much.
Huh? Why? Emmy takes a deep breath like she's been practicing this.
Because you're too much fun to be around. And I can't concentrate when you're near me. When exams coming up soon, I just can't have that distraction. Otherwise my grades will be pretty lousy, I'm afraid.
I could help you study. She smiles at me, clearly unhappy with the situation.
I'd love it if you could, but we wouldn't actually study, would we? I mean, even now I'm trying to have a conversation with you, but I kind of just want to, not converse.
Ah. Overwhelmed by my rugged manliness, I understand. That earns me a grin, at least. Emmy shakes her head.
Idiot, you're full of yourself.
Well, I am pretty irresistible.
Or, more or less, I guess. So that's the situation, Isao. I have too much fun around you, and if I'm going to go into exams prepared, I need to be alone.
Hey, that's okay. It really seems to have been bothering her. Besides, only a couple of weeks. We'll still see each other in the mornings and at lunch. We can just hang out at school, no problem. And after exams, we'll go on a date to celebrate them being over, okay? Emmy grins, pleased by this proposal.
Yeah, sure. That sounds great.
As if to signal the end of the conversation, she leans in and kisses me. The rest of the night is not spent worrying about exams.
Oh, sweet.
It's weird how easily Emmy and I can keep from seeing one another after class now. Actually, I'd venture to say that it's vaguely disturbing. As easily as we'd come together, we seem to have split apart without much trouble. Well, I guess that's not exactly true. We'd both been pretty bummed after that last night together. And we get to see each other every morning for our runs, and just our runs, I might add. Lunch too. I especially enjoy lunchtime with her. We have plenty of time to talk about everything outside of school, whereas the morning runs have become increasingly businesslike. I think it's because Emmy wants to make up for our foolery in the storage shed. No matter how much we joke at lunch, I can't help but feeling a little worried about her. She seems distracted more often, and I've caught her fidgeting nervously more than once. Never figured her to be someone who cared that deeply about exams, but they certainly seem to be taking their toll, even though they haven't even started. This is just the run-up, the deep breath before the plunge. Tomorrow the real trials begin. Or the real exams, anyway. As for me, I actually don't feel that worried about exams at all. Not sure why. I mean, they're pretty important. My scores here will determine my odds of getting into a good university. Hell, if I'm too cavalier now, it could spell doom for my academic career. But going into them, I feel confident that I'll come out on the other side okay. Muto thinks I've got the science examination locked up at any rate. Or as he says, last thing that should give you trouble is my exam, Isao. It's way beneath your talents. Then again, it's Muto who's telling me this. His praise of me carries the veiled implication that anything less than perfect for me would be a disappointment, which has actually caused me to fret more than I should about the exam. It's for that reason that I find myself in the library after class, poring over the textbook. Pretty simple things to look over, some formulas of velocity, a few bits about friction. A walk in the park compared to my dreaded English exam. Never was good with languages. As I flip through my notes one more time, my mind begins to wander. After these exams are over, things should get easier. Soon we'll be graduated. Then off to college, hopefully. I remember my abortive attempt to find out what Emmy plans to do after high school. She avoided the subject pretty deftly, as I recall. Heck, it seems that just about every time I push too hard, she dances around the subject. Or distracts me through, other means. Like a few days ago at lunch when Rin wasn't around.
I've done it.
I'm startled from my reverie by Yuko's triumphant shout. Ah! Yuko seems mortified at my son starting.
Oh my god. I'm so sorry. I really wasn't. And it's just that.
As she stutters, I move to quickly calm her down before she gets too agitated. Whoa, hey! My words seem ineffective. Yuko continues to work herself into a complete frenzy.
And it's the library, and I shouldn't be.
Easy there, just calm down.
And really, I'm setting a bad example, and now I'll get fired because I can't do anything right.
Yuko! Shouting seems to work, though I draw the ire of several other students studying in the library. Yuko snaps to attention like a soldier who's just heard the captain bark an order.
Sorry.
Calm down. It's okay. You just startled me is all. It's only because I was daydreaming instead of studying. So really, you got me back on task. This is a complete lie, but it seems to work. Yuko takes a deep breath and seems to calm down a little, though she keeps shifting around with a nervous energy that seems awfully familiar. So what's got you so excited anyway?
The Yamaku cat burglar.
To her credit, Yuko manages to convey her intense excitement in a whisper.
I think I know who it is. I've got an anonymous tip as to their identity. So I did some spying, and I think the tipster was right.
Oh, really? And who was this, burglar? Yuko shuts her mouth, shaking her head decisively.
Nope, I can't tell you that.
Why not?
It's between me and the burglar. Can't risk you warning him that I'm onto his game. He could tip his hand early and blow town. Then I'm left with no perp.
When did Yuko start talking like a hard-boiled detective? I wouldn't warn them. Why would I care?
If you've got to ask that question, then you don't need to know.
That doesn't make any sense, but okay. Congratulations, I guess?
Thanks. What for?
The, cat burglar thing? Yuko nods and smiles appreciatively.
So, studying for exams?
Oh, that was the plan. Not having much luck, though.
Really? Is it because you can't find a book? I'm really sorry. I've been meaning to clean the shelves up for weeks now, but I keep getting distracted. I'm so sorry.
Whoa, wait. It's not that. I've got my book right here. To illustrate the point and hopefully calm Yuko down, I show her the textbook in front of me. My mind just keeps wandering is all.
Is it because of the noise in here? I'm trying to be more strict about the noise levels, but I can't bring myself to yell at people. I mean, aren't their lives hard enough without me throwing my authority around?
No, it's not the noise level either, I promise. I'm just... hell, I don't know. Worried about Emmy? Worried about us? Worried about what happens after we graduate? Emmy's been kind of weird lately.
What do you mean?
Well, you know how we're dating now. I just don't know that we're actually, you know, a couple. Or at least I don't know that we're beyond friends. Though friends normally don't do the sort of things we do. Physically, we're a couple. Coupling, at least. It's like every time I try to find out more about her, what she wants to do with her life, she dodges the question. Like the other day I was talking to her at lunch about some schools I've been looking into. I asked her, have you looked into any schools lately? She shrugs in response, says no, and when I ask why not, she says that she doesn't think that far ahead. I asked why she had that policy, and she suddenly realized what I'm about to start describing and wisely decided to climb up.
She what?
She changed the subject. Wouldn't talk about it.
Maybe it's an uncomfortable subject for her. Or she just doesn't think it needs explaining.
Yeah, but it's not just that. Every time I try to find out what's been bothering her, she changes the subject too. It's like she likes being with me, but not getting close to me. Now that I said it out loud, I feel worse. Yuko digests this bit of information.
You know, it seems to me that you're more serious about this than she is.
I can almost feel my stomach twist into a knot. She's right. It's exactly what it seems like. But is that really what's going on? I mean...
Sorry, I'm just talking nonsense. You shouldn't take my advice. You barely know me. I'm just the librarian, and I'm single, so you can imagine I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I think you have a point. As much as it hurts to even consider it. Yuko seems to try desperately to find a way to soften the blow somewhat.
Look. I'm probably wrong, but if you want to be sure of how obviously wrong I am, maybe you should just talk to her. Get some time alone and just ask about it. And don't let her change the subject either.
Yeah, maybe I should do that. Or maybe I should just enjoy what I have. We have fun hanging out after all. And the runs are nice, and other activities are nice, and talking to her is nice. Do I really need to get closer to her? What I've got right now is pretty good. But that's silly. I want to get closer to her. I want to be able to help her out with whatever's bothering her. But maybe I should wait until exams are over. Maybe she'll brighten up once the stress is past. If she does, then I don't need to worry about it anymore. But if she doesn't, well, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. I thank Yuko for her advice and head back to my room. Maybe I'll be able to concentrate more on my studies than there. I leave the room after finishing my final exam and breathe a sigh of relief. As I'd hoped, the exams weren't so bad. I managed to breeze through just about everything but the English final. Even that was acceptable. Wonder how Emmy did. Even more so, how she's doing. She looked terrible at lunch today. I mean, she was pretty happy to be out of her wheelchair, but she was so exhausted. Something's been wearing her down. I'm starting to really doubt that it was just the exams. Should I confront her about this, though? My musing is interrupted by a tap on the shoulder. Hey, Sao. Got a minute? No! Fuck you, Muto! Yeah, whatever. Actually, I could have overrated that previous save, whatever. Yeah, no, we're not gonna be a dick to Muto. Let's hear Muto out. What's Muto got to say? Yeah, I've got some time. Nowhere important to be or anything like that. Muto raises an eyebrow as if questioning my statement, then beckons me back into the classroom. I wanted to get some feedback from you if I could. I know this course wasn't quite up to your level. Don't worry about it. Science club activities more than made up for it. Did they? Well, in fact, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. You think that was a worthwhile activity? Just for my own reference. Well, yeah, it was a great way to go further than we did in class. It's definitely worthwhile. Muto seems delighted by my response. That's great. Exactly the sort of thing I was hoping for. You know, Hizo, I'm glad you came here. It's always good to have a student who really gets into the subject you teach. In a way, it makes dealing with the rest of the students more tolerable. You're a bright kid, too. You took to the stuff like a duck to water, or some other such simile. That's not how that works. Thanks. You were a great help, especially with that college stuff. There's one more thing, Hizo. Bit of advice from one scientist to another. What's that? What does a scientist do? Observe the world around him. Exactly. Good. A simple question, but one that most people can't seem to answer. That's the essence of a scientist, Hizo. We observe what's there and try to figure it out. What if there's something you can't figure out? What's a scientist to do if you can't observe something? How, for example, can we talk about quarks when nobody's ever actually seen one? Or black holes when observing them as directly is impossible? Well, scientific equipment's pretty advanced. Muto irritably waves away my response. No, that's not it at all. Those are tools. I'm trying to give you a philosophy. Think. If you can't observe something directly, then how can you observe it? Guess? Oh, how would you guess the movement of a quark? What is your guess based on? Of course. Should have thought of it earlier. The things it affects. Muto claps his hands together excitedly and whoops. Yes, exactly, good. Remember that, Hizo. If you can't examine something directly, it's because you're looking at it wrong. You have to look at it differently if you want to uncover the truth. And if it eludes you, then look at what it leaves behind. That is the essence of being a scientist. You never stop looking for the answer. Never take anything for granted. Observe, experiment, and observe some more. There's a lot of stuff out there that makes no sense, Hizo. Your job is to get it to make sense. If nothing else, I hope you've learned that here. I think I can remember that. Muto smiles, satisfied. Good. Now go enjoy your time off. You've earned it. I leave the room feeling a little confused. What brought that on? Although, am I going about this thing with Emmy the wrong way? Yep. If she won't tell me, then can I go about it some other way? The question keeps spinning in my head even after I made my way back to my room. What if she gets angry about it? Besides, what if it's nothing? If I go in and refuse to leave until she tells me what's wrong or something, won't that come off as clingy? I don't want to start a fight or anything over something like this. Maybe I should just drop the matter and see how she is tomorrow before I do anything. Would it be so bad to just let it go? It's not like we don't enjoy each other's company. But odd as it sounds, I really want to help her. I don't even know what with or if there's anything at all she needs help for. But I want to. Suddenly a knock at my door arouses me. I open it to see Kenji. Oh, it's you.
It's me. That's it? If you had any idea what I'd been through, what I'd done, you'd be happier to see me, dude. I mean, that was some epic you may never see me again shit. And here you're just acting like I went down to the store for some milk. You're a cold man, Hizo. I really respect that.
Thanks, I guess.
It's smart to play it safe, you know. Don't show any emotion. Keep your cards close to your chest. Unless it's time to show your cards, or, yeah, bad cards. Then you should fold or collect your winnings. Do you understand?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I take it the, mission went well?
Whoa, awfully nosy of you, isn't it? You can't just go saying things like that. Things are at a delicate stage. One wrong move and bam! The invasion succeeds. I thought you were going to blow the conspiracy...
Oh, whoops, wrong one. I thought you were going to blow the conspiracy wide open.
It's bigger than I thought. Need to update my charts. Probably change some of the puppets around. You want help? I've got some whiskey from somewhere. You can fill me in on everything your investigation has turned up.
Better not. I'm, supposed to meet her today. Gotta go do that. Can't raise suspicion. Kenji nods in approval.
Still keeping it close to the chest, huh? Okay, man. I respect that. Good luck.
Thanks. I love their interactions. I'm just going to pretend, for the sake of my own sanity, that he's wishing me luck in talking to Emmy. And if I squint, that whole card analogy he was talking about works here. Time to lay it all on the table. Or see if I can't get Emmy to do so, rather. With a sense of something approaching purpose, I head for Emmy's room. I hop up the stairs, lean to her room, and knock on her door.
Who's there?
Huh. That's odd. Her voice sounds a little choked. Hey, it's me. thought I'd stop by.
Isao? Come on in.
Reach out to open the door, only to find that it's locked. More and more curious. Your door's locked?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Give me a minute.
In a few minutes, Emmy opens the door, grinning.
Sorry, I had to put my legs on. I was napping.
Despite her grin, there's something definitely off. Emmy's eyes are slightly red and it looks like she's been crying. Hey, no problem. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
It's just that you look like you've been crying. Oh yeah, Isao, you're off to a great start on this one.
What? Nah, I'm fine. I'm just happy to see you.
She punctuates this with a long kiss that continues as the door slams shut behind us. I know what she wants to do now, and I'm also painfully aware of how badly I want to do it too, but I break the kiss with a wrench of self-control that nearly kills me. Hey, wait. Emmy's eyes crinkle in confusion.
Huh? Wait for what?
We need to talk.
Isn't that supposed to be my line? And never a good thing to say.
She's got a point. It's usually the lead into a breakup, or the prelude to a fight. Maybe it can be a good thing this time. That's the hope, anyway.
Huh. Can we at least get onto the bed? It's my first day back on these things. I'm still readjusting. Plus, the nurse said I should try to be on them less often since running puts such a strain on them.
Can't argue with that. It's a trap. We both know it, and we both don't care. Then again, it's awfully hard to get angry while in bed with the object of your affections, so maybe there's that motivation too. I set Emmy's legs by the bedside and sit down next to her, throwing an arm around her shoulders. In silence, we just enjoy being able to be in this position again for a few minutes. Then, of course, I need to ruin it by opening my mouth. Look, I know that you've been having kind of a rough time of it lately. And I want to help you out. I thought it was just exams getting to you, but now I come to your room and you've been crying, and that kills me. But I can't do anything if you won't talk to me about it.
I told you, I'm fine.
No, you aren't. It's obvious something's eating at you. You can tell me, you know. There's the slightest increase in tension in Emmy's voice.
Why is my saying I'm fine not good enough? You're concerned, I get that, that's cool. But I'm fine, and it's nothing that you need to worry about.
Not sleeping and spacing out more than Rin doesn't strike me as being fine. I want to help.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't like seeing you like this. I want you to be happy, you know? You get the feeling that came out wrong because Emmy fixes me with an icy stare.
So you want to fix me, Hisao?
She's definitely getting angry now.
Want to swoop in on your white charger and save the day? Stop the nightmares, the phantom limb pains? Restore what's lost?
Her voice catches in her throat and the tears start to flow.
Well, you can't. Nobody can. Nobody will.
I'm so stunned by her sudden verbal assault that I remain quiet. Neither of us says anything for a while. Surprised that Emmy tightens her grip on me rather than pushing me away. After a deep breath, she starts talking again.
Look, I'm sorry. There's these nightmares about the accident.
Ah, the accident. I should have known. It took her legs after all, but it never comes up, of course.
I usually deal with them fine because I can run. Running clears my head like nothing else. I don't have to worry about anything while I'm running. I just concentrate on breathing, on the rhythm of things. It's easier that way. Life's easier that way. Just keep moving forwards, you know? Nothing else matters. Just getting around the next curve. And then it's the next curve. And the next. And the next. Until I can't go anymore. Or think anymore. Or do anything but slow down and walk until I catch my breath again. After something like that, nothing else matters. But I've been stuck in that goddamn wheelchair for too long, so no outlet. Today it just kind of boiled over a little.
You could have talked to me about it, you know? You didn't have to go it alone. Emmy smiles sadly like she's trying to explain to a child that all fire burns.
Yeah, I did. And I do.
But why? Why do you have to keep going through this alone? Why can't you just trust me enough to let me help you? And smile again. Emmy leans in and kisses me on my cheek, an almost motherly gesture. She leaves her mouth close to my ear as she confesses this one thing to me.
Because, Hisao, I've already had everything I knew ripped away from me once. I don't know what I'd do if it happened again.
She pauses, as if uncertain as to whether or not she should continue. I can feel a violent churning in my gut. She continues.
So I can't rely on you, or the nurse, or anyone else. Just me. That's how it's got to be.
Having delivered the short speech, she looks down and covers her mouth with the back of her hand. This conversation is clearly over. I search for something to say, but I can't think of anything. Maybe I should go. For now. I've got, stuff. Emmy doesn't even look up. She sounds tired. Or relieved. Can't tell which.
Okay, Hisao. Go take care of that stuff. I'll see you tomorrow.
I get off the bed and head for the door, pausing at the doorway. Hey, Emmy?
Yeah?
1,000 things I want to say. I'm too mixed up to say any of them, though. After admitting that she'll never let me close, I feel like my world's just been ripped out from me. What happened in that accident? I know she lost her legs, but it's never seemed to bother her. What happened there? What scares a girl so badly that she won't accept help, even from someone she loves? I don't know. But I want to know. I want to know so badly that being denied that answer feels like a knife in my guts.
Hisao? You were saying?
I'm still standing in the doorway. Nothing. Never mind. And I'm closing the door and walking down the hallway, down the stairs, out the door, into the dark. Somehow I wander back to my own room. My brains are doing a mile a minute, going nowhere fast. I can't figure out how to deal with this. I thought that moving forward was a good thing. Dwelling less on the past that I can't change, living in the present, looking at the future. After this thing with Emmy, I'm not sure anymore. She was saying the truth. It's simpler to look at the next curve, ignoring the path gone by. No worry about the opponent left behind, no care for the spectators on the sidelines. And unfortunately, no time to watch out for lagging teammates either. I throw myself down into the bed, looking at one corner of my ceiling as if the answers I want were written there. No such luck, of course. She's literally running away from something. But have I not been doing the same thing, trying my best to forget about my hospitalization? I am getting better, but my health isn't going to magically fix itself. Emmy has 2 legs instead of a heart to deal with, but those aren't going to magically fix themselves either. Maybe this is just as fixed as the both of us can get. The room becomes darker and darker until I can't really tell I'm looking at a corner anymore. The morning comes too soon on the heels of a sleepless night. This is how Emmy's been spending her nights. Staring at the wall or ceiling, trying to stop thinking about whatever it is. Her, in my case. That clenched feeling in my gut is still there. I can't rely on you. Words spoken so casually. Almost like she were teasing me or chastising me for suggesting that the earth is flat. That's how it's got to be. The way it's got to be sucks. I'm feeling so miserable that I very nearly decide to skip the run. That would be stupid though. It's not something I should do just to see her. Sure, that was the original reason, but it's something more now. I've started to enjoy the running itself. There are worse ways to get the blood flowing anyway. Never thought I'd say that after the first week or so, but I feel a lot better after a run. Like no matter what else I do today, I've at least done that one thing. It wakes me up too, and Emmy herself said that running always clears her mind. Maybe it'll help clear mine. I hope so. The morning is cool and clear, if a bit humid. Summer's making itself known, it seems. Emmy's already stretching out when I arrive and greets me with a smile and a wave.
Hey, Sal.
The sight of her so chipper is like kicking the nuts. How can she be so happy after yesterday? I give her a half wave and I'm surprised to receive a hug.
Hey, about last night.
Here it comes.
I wanted to say thanks. I actually managed to get some sleep for the first time in a while, and I think it's because of our talk. So thanks.
How could she sleep better after our chat? She basically told me that she wouldn't get any closer to me. And that let her sleep well? Excuse me, but what the hell? Amy doesn't either notice my bafflement or chooses not to notice. No telling with her anymore. Oh, no problem. Glad it helped. The venom that threatens to drip into my voice is controlled for now. I think I'd better start running now before I do anything stupid. Amy seems equally willing to get started, and before long we're darting around the track. I can tell she feels more relaxed. Her running has gone back to the more graceful movements I remember from when I first watched her. It's a stark contrast to the almost brutal way she's been hurling herself around the track these past few days. Our talk really does seem to have helped her. A pity it couldn't help me. Into the rhythm of the running, thinking back to when I couldn't afford thinking about anything else but keeping my breathing steady and legs moving. Guess those days are gone. At least for the first couple of laps. In order to the lack of success I'm having with clearing my head, I increased the pace. There's the burning sensation in my legs. The breath's coming ragged in my chest, the pounding of my heart, which I still need to be careful about. But it does seem to have gotten stronger. I feel it pumping blood through my veins. The sound thrums in my ears, but instead of being panicked as I was that day in the snow, I'm instead filled with elation. Yes, it's working. My heart, that fatal flaw that landed me here, has improved. Able to keep going now. Maybe one day I'll be able to stop worrying as much. Right now, it doesn't matter that I have no idea what to do about Emmy and me. All that matters is that my arms and legs continue to pump in concert with one another. Nothing else. As I hit the final stretch, I remind myself that running really does help, though not as much as I'd hoped. I do feel better, and as I walk a few laps to cool down, I begin to remember last night in a slightly less emotional manner. Emmy wants me to stay distant from her. Can't bring myself to do so. There's got to be a way around this. Some kind of middle ground I can reach. Not sure what that middle ground is, though. Damn, I was almost feeling optimistic.
Nice run, Isao. You've really improved.
Nice run. That's all I can hope for now, isn't it? Congratulations, Isao. You're pathetic. I gotta change my attitude. Well, you know, I am pretty awesome. And yet I just keep saying things that I don't mean. Any second now I'll be good at hiding my problems as Emmy is.
I like to think so.
Why does she do this to me? Say something like that with such real affection in her voice that it makes my heart leap. She doesn't mean it. She can't. Must be doing a worse job than I thought because Emmy peers closely at me.
Hey, you feeling okay? Maybe we should get to the nurse, huh?
Yeah, they had to keel over on you. Emmy looks a little shocked at my bitter tone.
Don't say things like that. I've already done it once before, you know.
Why does she act so affectionate? She doesn't really care. Unless she made that clear. Despite all of that, I find myself apologizing, even though I shouldn't have to. Even though she's probably just putting on an act. Sorry. Come on, let's see the nurse. Can't get myself to calm down the whole time. Every time it feels like I've gotten over what happened last night, Emmy does something or says something that shows affection and I'm back to the beginning. The image of her ending that conversation haunts me. It was like the final twist of the knife that left me feeling bereft of any hope that Emmy and I could be more than what we are. And what are we at this point? A little more than friends who happen to fuck? And really, it's not like I don't enjoy the time I spend with her. Said so the other day myself. I very nearly didn't even bring anything up with her. Was just gonna hop on in there and let it ride, wasn't I? With this running through my head, I find myself in front of the nurse's office, still brooding as he checks out Emmy. Emmy comes bounding out of the door, gives me a kiss, and darts off to shower, I assume. Meanwhile, the nurse beckons me into his office to give me the ritual once-over. Any problems today? Nah, I even pushed a little harder today than I have in the past, and I seemed able to handle it. That's uncharacteristically risky coming from you, Isao. You've been hanging out with Emmy too much. She's rubbed off on you, and not necessarily in a good way. Mention of Emmy's name, I can't help but frown unhappily in spite of my efforts at control. Well now, this is new, don't you think? Last I checked, your usual response to Emmy's name was a grin, not a frown. What exactly happened between you two? Because Emmy doesn't seem to be in on it, whatever it is. She looked more relaxed than I've ever seen her in weeks, which is unusual for this time of year. What do you mean by that? By what? This time of year. I keep trying to find out what's been bothering her, but she clams up as soon as I broach the subject. And then last night she said, let me guess, she won't tell you because she says she can't trust you? And now you're crushed because you thought that the two of you were so much more than she seems to think, right? More or less. Like, did you know? Isao, I'm the nurse. It's my job to know these things. Plus, I've known Emmy for long enough to know that she'd try to do something like this. It's just like her. He says this in a sort of half-affectionate, half-frustrated tone that would seem more appropriate if he had a cigarette dangling from his lips. As it is, he seems willing to make do with a pen. Look, mind if I give you some advice? I'll do a little save. I think we can override that Muto save. I think that was definitely the right choice to be like, yeah, Muto, let's hear your advice. And you know what? Yeah. Well, I'll take anyone's advice at this point. Hit me with it, nurse man. What you got? What was it Muto said yesterday? See, I just mentioned Muto's advice. Now I gotta follow up. If you can't observe the thing, then observe what's around it. Or the shot. Nurse knows Emmy better than I do, I'll wager. Sure, I'm open to suggestions. Honestly, I'm kind of lost. Got no idea how to deal with this. I never would have guessed. He grins while he says this. I think he's kidding. Look, here's the deal. Emmy is stubborn. You should know that by now, and if you don't, then you're pretty unobservant. But I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt here. I'm so grateful. Anyway, she's decided that she doesn't want to talk about what happened. Then she's not going to talk about what happened. Has she said anything about what's been bothering her? Even a hint? She did say she's been having nightmares about the accident. Really? You're making progress then. That's good. Well, I guess I can fill you in on this without violating my strict non-interference policy when it comes to Emmy making stupid decisions. The anniversary of her accident is coming up soon. She gets depressed around this time because it was a pretty traumatic event, considering what she lost. That's the other thing. She acted like she lost more than just her legs. What happened? Whoa, nope, not going there. You'll have to ask someone else about that, because that's a whole can of worms I'm not about to open. If Emmy wants you to know, she'll tell you in her own time. You just gotta be patient, that's all. Why are you even helping me with all this? Because you're good for her. She trusts you, even if you don't think she does. And you've got the best chance out of anyone at this school right now to help her through this time of year. She won't accept my help. She might accept yours if you don't screw it up. So don't screw it up. Got it? I open my mouth to respond, but a knocking sound at the door interrupts me.
Hey, you guys still in there?
Just a moment, Emmy. Give us a second to get our pants back on. The door bursts open and Emmy glares and eyes at the nurse.
Asshole.
Didn't mean to get your hopes up. Hey, can we, leave me out of this? Hey, what's up, Emmy? Forget something? Try to take a more cheerful tone with her. No need to upset her. You can play the everything's fine game.
Actually, I forgot to ask you something.
Oh, what's that?
You want to come with me on a trip to my house? My mom's making dinner, and I thought you might want to join us.
Of course I accept. Emmy punches the nurse in the arm playfully.
Not you, idiot. You were over last week. I was talking to Hisao.
Oh, how interesting. Meeting the parent. I'd love to go, Emmy. Thanks. The nurse raises an eyebrow but says nothing.
Great, I'll be in my room. Swing by after you shower and change into something clean. We'll grab the bus.
Sounds good. I'll see you in a bit. This time it's me who leans in for a quick kiss before darting off to my room. What an interesting development. Maybe we're getting closer after all. Maybe Emmy's finally ready to open up a little. Or maybe she's just being polite and a free meal seems like a good way to apologize for last night. Great. Now I can't decide whether to be excited, nervous, or depressed. I'll settle for a combination of all three and hop in the shower. Hell yeah. Love that combination. Feel it all the time. I don't think I like riding on buses. Actually, I think I'm pretty comfortable saying that as a fact. They sway a lot and they smell funny and you can feel every bump in the road. Really not looking forward to this. Plus, Emmy's legs keep making a clanky noise that draws the attention of everyone else on the bus. She's in shorts again, she's got long socks drawn up to her prosthetics so they don't look so obviously false again. That doesn't stop the odd look or two every time her legs bump together with an audible clunk. I shift nervously in my seat and Emmy raises an eyebrow, questioningly. She doesn't seem to mind the stares, either that or she doesn't even notice that people are staring. I'm sure she's gotten her feel of odd looks before. After a certain amount of time, I doubt she'd notice anymore. Not that she'd ever tell me if I asked. Another fact is, I'm not just comfortable about the bus. Can't seem to come to terms with the fact that Emmy appears to be trying to bring me closer while at the same time pushing me away. The nurse said she trusts me, even if it doesn't look like it. I'm not sure I can trust the nurse. He's protective of Emmy, just like I'm protective of Emmy, and I'd be likely to say something to make her look good if someone asked me about her. So he might just be doing that. Still, there was something about the way he seemed genuinely surprised that Emmy invited me along. Maybe last night's talk helped more than I think, but I'm still worried. Meeting the parents is a big deal, right? Not that I haven't already met Emmy's mother, but that was just as an acquaintance. Now it's going to be as Emmy's boyfriend, with everything that implies. I can feel my heart pounding my chest, an echo of that snow-covered afternoon that feels like it was so long ago that it might as well be another life all entirely. Except then, I didn't know what was going on. I also didn't have medication to help prevent things from spiraling out of control. I've come a long way in terms of my physical health. For the second time today, I feel like I'll be able to live normally now, or at least as normally as possible. If only I can manage my relationship as well as I've managed my heart, be in great shape.
Well, we're here.
Emmy grabs my hand as soon as we've stepped off the bus. Starts heading down the street almost immediately.
Come on, we've got a couple blocks into my place.
What? Oh, okay. I follow Emmy down the street, watching her confident stride. She's setting a kind of quick pace for just a walk. I guess she's anxious to get there. So does your mom do this? This sort of thing often?
Nah, not too frequently. Mom's never been much for playing hostess.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, my dad was always the one pushing her to have people over.
This sudden, unprompted reference to her father catches me off guard. From the look on Emmy's face, I'm not sure she meant to mention him. I think I've only ever heard her talk about him once. All I remember is that Emmy's mom told me that he wasn't around anymore. Oh? Your mom prefers solitude? Emmy laughs either from relief that I didn't ask her about her father or from my finding her statement actually funny.
Not at all. She's why I'm such an outgoing person, you know. She just prefers to be a guest rather than a hostess. It's less stressful that way, or so she says.
Clearly, she's never had to meet her girlfriend's mother for dinner. Emmy giggles again and speaks in a teasing tone.
Nervous, Esau? You shouldn't be, you know. It's not that big a deal. Just dinner at my house, that's all.
Yeah, but have you ever brought home a boyfriend before? I confess that part of me dreads hearing the answer to this. I know very little of Emmy's past relationships. Don't even know if there were past relationships.
No, I guess I haven't. Hey, maybe this really is kind of a big deal after all.
Oh god, now I feel twice as nervous. Though to tell the truth, I'm pretty happy to hear that I'm the first one. Maybe we've got something special after all. Bolstered by the new thought, I managed to calm down considerably by the time Emmy knocks on her front door.
Hey Mom, open up, we're here.
The door swings open and Mrs. Ibarazaki stands grinning at her daughter. The grin is still surprisingly similar to Emmy's. I'm never going to get used to that. You know, people normally wait for a few minutes before they start shouting at the door.
And most mothers say hello to their daughters instead of scolding them right away.
Of course. Welcome home, dear. I've missed you. An affectionate hug later, we're inside, and it's only then that Emmy's mom seems to remember that I'm actually here. And hello to you too, Esau. How are you? I'm quite well, thank you. Nice to not have school to worry about for a little bit. Ah yes, you finished your exams, haven't you? That must be quite a relief for you both. It's certainly a weight off my mind, that's for sure.
Mine too. I think I slept well for the first time in weeks last night from relief alone.
If this news is a surprise to Emmy's mother, she doesn't show it. Still, her response betrays a note of interest. Is that so?
I'm very glad to hear that, Emmy.
You know, I get worried when you get all wound up about, well, exams. Certainly Emmy's mother knows something I don't. Or rather, she doesn't know that Emmy's told me about the nightmares. It's interesting, being able to observe how Mrs. Ibarazaki covers for Emmy. That protective instinct to make sure that I don't know any more than Emmy's willing to tell me. I suppose Emmy's got more in common with quarks than I ever realized. Moves around fast, impossible to understand through direct observation, yet she has an effect on everyone she encounters. Wonder if Mrs. Ibarazaki will figure out that I know about the nightmares, or is she just keeping everything secret from everybody?
Yeah, it's not been as bad this year as in the past. Esau helped me stay focused.
Okay, I know that's not true. She even cut off contact outside of school hours during exam week. But she did see me during the day, and she told me more than once that the morning run was the only thing she looked forward to during the exams, so maybe it's not that much of a lie. Either way, to hear that being around has helped even a little. It makes me feel a little bit better. Emmy's mother raises an eyebrow at this statement. Either she doesn't believe Emmy, or she's as surprised as I am. Well, then it appears that it's a good thing you two have become so close. I tell you to take good care of my daughter, Esau, but it looks like you're already doing that. Emmy grins at this and seems to take pride in my having managed to ingratiate myself with her mother so easily. Actually, I'd say your daughter's been the one taking care of me. She's got me out and running. I've probably been more active since meeting her than I ever was even before. I actually never thought of it that much, nor had I appreciated the humor in it. I wasn't too active before the heart attack. Pickup games of soccer don't really count since they weren't that common. So now that I know for sure that I have a weak heart, now I run every day, pushing my luck with the help of my medication. I chuckle quietly, then realize that I never finished my sentence. Well, before I had my heart attack and wound up at school here. It comes out so casually. There was a time that I would have thought twice about talking about what was wrong with me at all. But now, it just seems silly to care, especially in the company of Emmy and her mother. Emmy can be cavalier about her disability, then so can I. Think back to the track meet where Emmy declared herself the fastest thing on no legs. The fact of her obvious loss has never seemed to bother her, at least not in public. Being stuck in the wheelchair frustrated her, I know, but even that was something she dealt with on her own, despite my efforts to the contrary. Emmy has a way of bringing about the more active side in people. I've never quite figured out how she does it. Those puppy dog eyes she gets for starters. I'm not surprised that she managed to rope you into an exercise routine. If Rin weren't just as stubborn as she is, I'm sure that Emmy would have gotten her out and running with you too.
Oh, that reminds me. Rin says hello.
I drift to the outer edges of the conversation again as we move into the dining room to eat. It smells delicious in here, and the spread that Emmy's mom has produced is impressive.
Whoa, you made enough to feed an army in here.
Is it too much? Well, you can always take some leftovers with you when you go. Sounds great. I can only handle cafeteria food for so long. Something home cooked would be a welcome change of pace.
What he said. Thanks, Mom.
Food tastes good as it smells, and there's a lull in the conversation while we all dig in. Emmy assaults her plate with the usual amount of gusto, and I will admit that I set a pretty fast pace myself. So Hisao, I hear that you and my daughter here have gotten rather close, Yours to say something like, not really, is so strong that I open my mouth to say it, but then reassert control. We are close, there's no getting around it. I mean, Emmy's brought me here, hasn't she? Fortunately, both Emmy and her mother seem to take my reaction as a sign that I'm caught off guard, rather than considering saying something cruel. I suppose we have. I blame the morning runs myself.
Make it sound like a bad thing, Hisao.
Well, I, for one, found it a relief. Why's that? Emmy's always been a popular girl, but she never made many close friends. This is a bit of news to me. I've always seen Emmy chatting with her classmates in the hallways, and certainly the whole track team seems to love her, but it's true that she chooses to isolate herself during lunch with Rin and me. Not exactly the sort of behavior one expects from a popular girl, after all. Then again, I've experienced her unwillingness to get close firsthand, so I can't say I'm that surprised. I was beginning to have my doubts. Emmy rolls her eyes to the ceiling and grumbles something I can't quite make out. Huh?
What?
Was that what you just said?
Nothing.
This is about as Aki chokes on her drink with laughter. You've been hanging out with the nurse too long, Emmy. I'm going to have to talk to him about corrupting my daughter. Somehow I don't think that would be very effective. God, I love that face.
I learned most of it from you anyway, not the nurse.
Don't listen to her, Isao. She's a born liar.
Yeah, right.
Well, I don't know, Emmy. I think your mother has a point.
What? You traitor? You're supposed to take my side in this.
Yeah, but you did lie about your leg after the... A kick in the shins from an unmistakably plastic foot cuts me off. Not before Mrs. Abatazaki's eyebrows shoot upwards. What about your leg?
Wasn't a big deal, that's all. I was just, whichever bit.
The last few mumbled words are quickly deciphered by Emmy's mother. I suspect she has experience with this sort of thing, and a worried frown appears on her face. So that's why you kept dodging my calls. Oh, Emmy, I know how much you hate being in a wheelchair. No wonder you've been in such a mood lately. Yeah, she's much happier on her feet, so to speak. Well, of course. She spent enough time in a chair just after the accident. She didn't get prosthetics immediately? I love seeing Emmy's eyes go back and forth between who's speaking. I never really noticed that before. It's a neat little detail. No, she had to finish healing up before they'd let her start the sort of therapy you've got to go through to adjust to those things. Especially since she wanted to run on them. I had no idea.
Yeah, it sucked. Oh, did you see Rin's mural at the festival?
Emmy's sudden change of topic makes me realize belatedly that she's been fidgeting the whole time her mother and I have been talking. I should have figured on her being a little skittish when it comes to talking about the accident, even around her mother. No, I didn't make it out to the festival, remember? Although I caught a glimpse of it at your track meet, it seemed pretty weird to me.
I think that's more or less what she was going for. She talked a lot about it being dreamlike, or trying to make it dreamlike.
Rin's art is one of those things I don't think I'll ever understand.
That's not surprising. I don't think Rin expects to be understood. She told me once that art allows people to understand stuff they wouldn't understand otherwise. All the same, she doesn't think it actually works that way. I'm surprised that Emmy's talked about this with Rin extensively enough to actually have Rin's opinion, such as it is. Although I expect that Rin could not, if she were so inclined, say the same thing about Emmy's. Unless, of course, Emmy is purposely keeping me in the dark about everything,
which is likely but unpleasant to think about. I drift down this unpleasant train of thought for a while losing track of the conversation.
Hey, Emmy, I've been meaning to ask. Huh? Are you going to visit your father this year?
The way she says it, you think Emmy's mother was talking about the weather. From the way Emmy reacts, it's clearly not the weather they're talking about. She flinches, a slight jerk of the head backwards as if she's been slapped to the face.
Can we talk about this later?
Her voice sounds brittle, strained, as if she's been severely shaken by the question. Seems that Mrs. Abadazaki misjudged how close Emmy and I are. Some things, it seems, are best not conversed about with me around. Her father is one of those things. The accident that took her legs is probably another one of those things, if her reaction to the earlier conversation between her mother and myself is any indication. Doesn't take Emmy's mother long to realize she screwed up.
Of course we can, dear. I'm sorry to bring it up. I just wanted to ask so I can make plans. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Emmy fidgets nervously as if embarrassed by her own reaction. I confess that her reaction is confusing. She only just mentioned her father to me earlier today, less than a few hours ago even. Why does a simple question about when she'll visit her father cause such a strong reaction? Unless whatever serenity she claimed to have reached by means of our talk the other previous evening had suddenly evaporated. Or it didn't help as much as she thought, or claimed.
I'll be right back. Gotta visit the little girl's room.
Emmy gets up suddenly and leaves the table, leaving me and Mrs. Abadazaki alone. I'm a little conflicted. Should I go after her, or should I stay here? It's obvious that Emmy's departure was not based on the call of nature. Something's bothering her, and I have to know what it is. How to go about it? No. Give her space. Give her space. Give her space. I think. I think. All right. Give her space. I believe we talked to Mamacita here. We give Emmy her space. We just have a nice little chat with the Mamacita. There's an awkward silence at the table for a while after Emmy dashes off. Can't think of anything to say. Emmy's mother sighs, breaking the silence. Sorry about that, Hisao. I sometimes forget that Emmy's touchy about certain subjects. I was talking about the wheelchair thing, too. Should I go after her? Heavens, no. She didn't leave the table to continue the conversation, you know. But if she's troubled, shouldn't someone help her? If it were anyone else, I'd say yes. But my daughter is stubborn as a mule, and if she wants to be alone, it's best to let her be alone. Otherwise, she'd probably say something she'd regret, which would cause you to say something you'd regret, and I'd prefer that dinner doesn't end with one or the both of you storming out of the house. If that were to happen, I'd be a terrible hostess, wouldn't I? I've already acted as a fool once today. That's okay. I shouldn't have brought up the wheelchair, apparently. Mrs. Barazaki frowns, clearly more bothered by Emmy's omission than she let on. I wish you wouldn't do that. Just makes me worry more, you know. She does this often? What, running off to the bathroom? No, I can't say she does. Keep injuries from her mother, though, well, that's a little more common. Every time I catch her lying like that, she assures me that the only reason she didn't tell me is because it wasn't a big deal. If it's any consolation, I'm sure the only reason I knew about it at all was because I saw her every day. This elicits a dry chuckle from across the table. This is about Ibadazaki sighs, a little sadly. Still hesitant about getting close to people, huh? I keep hoping that she'll get over that. It's funny, really. She's bounced back so well from the accident in so many ways. I guess some things never really go away. From the looks of it, the whole thing still bothers her, too. She seems to be a little more willing to talk about the accident without Emmy around, though. Hey, I've got a question if it's alright. Oh? What else did Emmy lose in that accident? It was said that she gets this way near the anniversary and she won't talk about it to me. So you thought I'd fill you in, yeah, hopefully. Oh, there's a problem with that request, you know. Let me guess. You promised Emmy that you wouldn't tell anyone else that she didn't want to know, and you don't know if she wants me to know? Something like that. I promised Emmy that she'd be the one to tell people the full story. But isn't that important? I mean, it's clearly had a huge effect on her if she's still like this for so long after the accident happened. That's true. It did have a long-lasting effect on her. There are a few things that she'll probably never really get over. For a moment, Mrs. Abadazaki looks incredibly saddened, as if an old wound is bothering her. I suppose there are a few things I'll never really get over either. Another dry chuckle. With a shake of her head, Emmy's mother banishes the memory. Look, there's something you absolutely must understand about the way Emmy thinks about the accident. What's that? It wasn't a big deal. Somehow I managed to keep my mouth from falling open in surprise. It takes some effort. That's be the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I beg your pardon? Okay, maybe it's not that simple, but it's pretty accurate summation. Emmy believes that the accident did not define her, that everything she lost that day didn't define her either. She's not that girl who lost her legs. She's the fastest thing on no legs. Her optimism and energy came out of that wreck without a scratch as far as she's concerned. Yet it goes beyond that, doesn't it? I mean, last night she told me that she refused to rely on me because it would make losing me too painful. Not really. You said she won't tell you about the accident, even though you've asked her about it before. The reason she won't talk about it when you ask is because to her, it's not something you absolutely need to know. Even if she isn't terrified of getting too close to anyone, she still wouldn't talk about it. She's afraid of being close to me? Oh, goodness me, yes. For all that talk about being unscathed by the accident, she's gained the ugly knowledge of how quickly it can all be over. So she's not going to let people get especially close to her, and she certainly would resent any implication that she cannot work through this on her own. But I don't think she can. Oh no? Are you sure you've been dating my daughter, not somebody else? Trust me, Hisao, she could get through it on her own. But she has nightmares and can't sleep well, and she does this every year. Tell me, if she wasn't able to get through it on her own, do you really think she'd still be alive? She would have killed herself or something equally melodramatic. So what, I shouldn't try to help her? I didn't say that. I hate seeing my daughter like this, knowing that she could rely on someone else would let me relax. You just need to understand that accepting help goes against everything Emmy thinks about herself and the way the world works. If you still want to offer her help, then I guess that's your call. Honestly, I'd like you to, but it'd still be silly not to warn you that it's not going to be easy. You just need to be patient with her. She's already closer to you than anyone else she's ever met at Yamaka. Well, it sure doesn't feel like we're very close.
Good. That makes this part easier.
Emmy's voice nearly gives me a heart attack. Whoa! Didn't hear you come back, Emmy.
How convenient.
Wait, were you eavesdropping?
Nope, just happened to come back at the right moment, I guess.
Hisao was just... Emmy holds up a finger, cutting her mother off.
On his way out of the house? Yeah, I know.
Emmy's trembling with anger now, looking vaguely betrayed.
Emmy, don't be ridiculous. We were just... You promised.
The pain carried in that last word is almost too much for me to bear. The idea that I could hurt her that much is like being kicked in the gut. Emmy's mother looks similarly pained by the thought.
And I kept that promise. Just listen, there's no reason to go throwing people out of the house.
Emmy's mother seems to be both angry at her daughter's outburst and embarrassed that I'm a witness to it. There's only one real solution to this problem, I think. It's okay. I'll go.
No, really, that seems a little unnecessary.
Don't worry about it. Thank you for dinner, Mrs. Barazaki, and for the advice.
It was my pleasure, Hisao. I'm sorry we didn't get to the dessert.
It's okay. I have to watch what I eat anyway. Good evening, Emmy. Mrs. Barazaki. The formality of our conversation, coupled with the fact that I'm getting ready to leave, seems to snap Emmy out of her anger.
No, wait. I'm sorry. I've been so... And after last night, I just thought... You don't have to go. I take it back. It's okay.
I can't help but smile slightly. She can barely articulate her apology, and I really would like to stay. But I don't think I can right now. I need to think about what her mother said, and what I'm going to do about us. I don't want to risk accidentally getting Emmy angry again in her current state either. No, I think I'd better leave. You seem pretty shook up, and, well, I'd only wind up trying to help you again. I know you'd prefer I didn't, so I'm going to leave instead.
But...
Hey, it's not a problem. You don't want a knight on a white charger, right? Just promise me one thing, okay?
What?
Don't be angry at your mom, okay? She's giving me some advice. That's all. Emmy nods hesitantly, like the simple idea is all that she can grab onto at this point. She's so terribly off balance, but I can't do anything about that right now.
Okay.
See you tomorrow, okay? Running in the morning. Don't forget. I can see that I've hurt Emmy by deciding to leave, but there's nothing I can do for her as things stand. I know that she's too stubborn to admit that she wants me to stick around. I watch various emotions cross Emmy's face. She tries to process everything that's just happened. Shortly comes that calm look again, like last night, and that voice that tries so hard to sound careless.
Sure, Hisao. See you around.
Both of us are unwilling to concede emotion at this point, and I'm having a hard time keeping up my facade, so I turn on my heel and walk out the door. I shut it behind me slowly, pausing for a moment as the latch catches my hand on the doorknob. Did I make the right decision just now? Should I have stayed and tried to work things out? No, I decide. Not in front of her mother like that. In spite of everything, I'd rather keep Emmy's mother insulated from the sort of anger that surfaced last night. Even though she's probably used to it, some protective instinct wants me to keep Emmy's image as a cheerful girl intact. With a start, I realize my hand is still resting on the knob. Take my hand away, put it in my pocket, and head down the slowly darkening street. I let out a long breath. Wait until tomorrow morning comes isn't going to be easy. In any case, I have to think on what to say to Emmy. I must apologize, and I must get through to her somehow. On that account, something has been on my mind for most of the way back to my room. The letter of apology from Iwanako. I was so concerned about my new life when I received it that I didn't even bother to really read it. Now that I find myself in a similar position, my curiosity got rekindled. What did she want to let me know so badly? If nothing else, reading her thoughts, it might help me frame mind. I remember tossing it away. Damn, where did I throw that thing? Check under my desk. Turns up nothing, so I look for harder to reach, more unlikely locations. Well, now I know where that lost sock went, at least. Still no letter, though. So when I try sweeping my arm under the nightstand, I feel something crinkly jammed between it and the wall. Grunting a little with the effort, I reach for my prize and soon manage to bring it into the light. Bingo. I sit at my desk and spread the crumpled paper open. A flick turns on the table light. Skipping past the empty pleasantries, I look for the point where I stopped reading. Here it is. There are things I want to say. I'm writing to you because I felt that there are things I should have said after the incident back in winter. I really regret that I wasn't able to say them in person, and I have no excuse for it. Truth is, the times when I visited you at the hospital made me worried about you. I'm not talking about your health. You seemed to become more distant and disheartened. It was natural after something like that happened, I'm sure. Somehow I got the feeling that you had given up on something back then. Happiness, maybe? Giving up on happiness. Sounds unpleasantly familiar. I wanted to somehow express my feelings, but the right words didn't come to me. I couldn't say anything to comfort you. I am really sorry for not being able to support you when it mattered the most, even though I like you so much. At least now I can be more honest. If I could go back to those quiet days in February and March, I'd tell you not to give up on yourself. That's what I would say. Maybe you wouldn't have drifted so far away if I had just said something. I hope we've managed to get back on your feet on your own. Now that the distance between us is also physical, it also feels more final. Somehow I wonder if we'll meet again. Perhaps it's for the best if we don't. Still, if you would like to correspond with me, by all means write me back. I'd very much like to hear about your new school and how you're doing. I wish you all the best. Sincerely, Iwanako. After finishing reading the letter, I smoothed it out carefully and set it aside on my desk. Thank you, Iwanako. I wanted to answer yes to your question on that snowy winter day, but I never got to. By the time we met again, it was too late. Or so I thought. What would have happened if I had behaved differently back in that dismally sterile hospital room? I'm sorry. There's no point in wondering now, but there's no point in trying to forget either. I am who I am because of all that happened to me and all I look forward to experience, present, future, and past. And the past may just have taught me an important lesson now. Act 4, baby. The sound of my alarm is an unwelcome intrusion on a sleep that's been a battle to obtain. I've been truly asleep for more than an hour or two. Too much on my mind. Did I make the right choice leaving the house yesterday? Did I manage to get Emmy to realize how unreasonable she's been? Am I ever going to manage to get her to stop being unreasonable? Emmy's mom gave me a new perspective the other day, but I'm still not sure that it's the right perspective. She was hurt when I left yesterday, too. I know that part of my conversation is going to have to include an apology about that. Or anything to do or not, I hurt her. I hurried down to the track, eager to talk to Emmy. I think I know what to say. Apologize for leaving first and go ahead from there. Unless, of course, Emmy doesn't show up. Which, from the looks of things, seems like it's the case. It's been about 15 minutes since I got here and there's no sign of her. She's never late, not unless she's sick, which is unlikely. She probably just doesn't want to see me right now. Take my mind off what that implies, I begin my warm-up routine, take off around the track. It clears my mind wonderfully. For the half hour I'm running, I don't think about anything else but the run. However, once I've finished, Emmy still hasn't shown up. Get a little worried. With any luck, the nurse will know where she is, if nothing else. I can see what he thinks I should do next. So last night didn't go too well, I take it. Huh? You already know? I have my ways. It's not as if I'd missed the distinct absence of your running partner this morning, now would I? No, I suppose not. So, what happened? Don't you know already? Maybe, but I could be bluffing. Perhaps I prefer to get your side of the story before I give any advice. Quickly fill the nurse in on the events of last night, and he takes it all in without changing expression once. Nothing about the whole event seems to surprise him, although he does seem surprised when I say that I didn't follow Emmy. Chose to talk to her mom instead, huh? Smart move. I guess it didn't work out too well for you in the end. Well, I'm not sure. Emmy seemed apologetic when I left, or at least she seemed that way until she put up her defenses again. Nurse sighs and spreads his hands in a conciliatory gesture. Frankly, I'm surprised she let them down at all. Emmy's had a lot of practice on that score. You probably won't get anything else out of her. I don't believe you. Is that so? You think she'll tell you the whole tale? And sorry, I just saw the nurse's eyes glitter a little. His expression is the same, but he leans forward ever so slightly. I think she'll open up if I ask her without being an idiot about it, yeah. Nurse gives his enigmatic smile in response and shrugs widely. I think he's enjoying his role a little too much. That's the real trick, isn't it? Are you sure you know the right way to approach the subject? I can guarantee that Emmy's going to try her hardest to pretend last night didn't happen. It'll be painfully awkward for the both of you, but it'll also be a lot safer than trying to ask her for the whole story again. It could go worse this time. Are you ready for something like that? Sounds like a challenge, like he doesn't believe for a minute that I'd be so bold. I actually feel insulted by his lack of confidence in me. Of course I'm ready for that. I love her. My outburst gets a raised eyebrow in response. Well then. Good luck. Let me know how it all turns out. Although he delivers his parting shot with the same smirk as usual, I actually think that the nurse wants me to succeed. I resist the urge to charge directly to Emmy's room to prove the nurse wrong. I've gone in half-cocked before, and the results were less than stellar. If I'm going to do this, I need to figure out exactly what I'm going to say and how I'm going to say it. Something to think about in class. Sure enough, by the time lunch rolls around, I think I have a good enough idea of what to say. I can do this. The bell rings and I grab my lunch and dash up the stairs, eager to be the first there. I need to ask Rin to leave, and I'll need to...
Hi, Hisao. Sorry I wasn't able to run with you this morning. I overslept.
Somehow both Emmy and Rin have managed to get to the roof before me. Oh, that's no problem. Last night was kind of, draining, I guess. Emmy's expression doesn't alter in the slightest.
Yeah, sorry about that. I've had such a weird morning since then.
Oh, really? Emmy proceeds to make small talk for the rest of the time. I can barely get a word in edgewise and soon find myself interjecting with the sort of back and forth dialogue that seems to have defined our early relationship. I'm not going to get anywhere in this problem during lunch, obviously. I can respect that. Emmy obviously doesn't want to accidentally pull Rin into things, and that's fine. Not that I think Rin would notice, but I can at least respect that sort of rationale. I try a different tactic. Emmy, what are you up to after class today? I was thinking we'd go somewhere for dinner or something. Emmy looks genuinely remorseful.
Sorry, Hisao. I promised the track captain that I'd stick around after practice and help some of the other kids with their form. It'll have to be some other time.
Yeah, sure. I'm honestly not sure what to do now. Maybe diving into things the day after would be a bad idea anyway. She might still be angry about it and just not showing it. Besides, if she's got track team responsibilities, that's fine, right? I tell myself some variation on this theme the next day, then the next. I wake up, run with Emmy, during which she refuses to talk about anything but the run and what she was doing the night before, and then lunch where we sit and make small talk till the bell rings. Her new responsibilities effectively keep me from seeing her outside of school. Maybe, just maybe, I'm letting it happen because it's safer this way, just like the nurse said. Except while it may be safer, I'm feeling more and more wretched. Emmy doesn't look good when I see her anymore. Dark circles lurk under her eyes. She seems more and more distracted, and I can't bring myself to just ask what's wrong because the timing never seems right. I'm absolutely miserable. Another lunch comes. I trudge up the stairs to the rooftop like a condemned man. Rin is up there, but Emmy is not. Immediately I worry that something's happened to her. Maybe the lack of sleep finally made her collapse or something worse. She seemed pretty tired after our morning run. Maybe she fell asleep and didn't even make it to class. Hey Rin, where's Emmy? In response I get a rather penetrating look from Rin, and something approaching a frown appears on her face. Is that information really important? I think so. She's usually here with you, isn't she? I don't know. I have no way of being sure. I can confirm that she is, in fact, usually here with you when I come up. Unless she isn't now? Does that worry you? Kind of. That seems to end the conversation, and the point becomes moot anyway, because Emmy bounced through the door with her usual energy. He sounds kind of worried about you, Emmy. I don't think he can decide. Maybe I just don't believe him. But I think I'm going to go somewhere else less awkward now. I'm so surprised by Rin's being so suddenly forward about, well, anything at all, that I merely watch her head through the door. Emmy is similarly surprised and colors slightly crimson as she stares open-mouthed at me. It occurs to me that I should probably say something, if only to break the awkward silence that has suddenly descended. It's because you weren't here yet. I was worried about it.
Why?
You're usually here, so I was worried that something had happened to you.
This isn't the first time that I've been late, you know. Did you get worried all the other times too?
Not really. Amy seems slightly amused by this. I don't know why, but that kind of pisses me off.
So I was this time an exception.
It was slight teasing the tone of the question, but something in her response pushes me to be honest. I can't help snapping at her when I say it. Because you've been worrying me since dinner at your house, that's why. Well, now it's out in the open, and Emmy's eyes are wide, and she looks like she wants to bolt, but she doesn't.
Still on that, I see.
What, you think I'm supposed to just forget about it? Throw me out of your house. You're going on for almost a week pretending it never happened.
I didn't see you bringing it up either, you know.
I know, and I'm sorry that was the case. We have to address it, or we'll just keep up this, whatever it is, we've got right now. It's killing me to look at how you look right now. Did you know that? Those circles under your eyes, that distracted look in them? I can't help worrying that I've caused it somehow.
You haven't. Trust me.
Well, I haven't helped either. I keep pushing you to tell me things you aren't ready to tell me. Maybe I was wrong to try to get your mother to help me out. I've been so worried about you that I didn't know what else to do.
You don't have to worry about me anymore, okay? Things pretty clear we're not right for each other, so maybe we should just stop.
Her face is twisted up as she says this. Like she doesn't want to say it, but forces herself to anyway. You don't actually want that, do you? Heck, you can barely bring yourself to say it. And it won't keep me from worrying about you. I care too much about you to just stop on command. You don't want to tell me what's wrong, that's fine, but I won't stop trying to help you, even if it's just standing by you.
Stop saying that.
She's shaking now, and as she looks at me, I can see she's afraid and frustrated and a million different things all at once. I shake my head slowly and take a few steps towards her. You know what your mom told me? She told me that you'd never ask for help, because you know that you're strong enough to get through anything on your own. That's not the full story, is it? Her eyes go wide and she takes a step back. Keep going, because I think I finally figured it out. Something tells me I won't get another shot. Put it off for far too long as it is. There's no harm in having someone help you, unless you're worried about needing help in the first place. You're scared, aren't you? Because of... Trail off because I don't know for certain what happened to Emmy's father. I don't want to jump to a conclusion. Well, never mind why. But it's okay to be afraid. You've been running from it and from me for so long, even though you know eventually you have to turn around and face your fear. I'm going to be there to help you when you do. I won't stop, because I don't think you'd want me to. You can understand that sort of determination, can't you? I see that I've gotten through to her, but she quickly falls back to anger to try to push me away again.
Hack on your white charger, Hisao. Gotta help the poor cripple face her emotional problems. What do you know about me and about what I've already had to face? You think 2 months of learning to walk again was fun? But I did it, and after I did that, I had to...
For a moment, it seems as if she's going to say something else, but she cuts herself off. And after all that, you don't think you can get past your fear? Emmy, I can't fathom what you've been through. But to come through it and still be the sort of girl that you are, it makes me think that you have even more strength than you think. I'm not going to help you because I think you need rescuing. I don't want to be a knight rescuing the damsel in distress. But even knights helped each other out, you know. I want to help you, even though I know you can do it on your own. For a moment, it looks like Emmy's going to break down completely, but she doesn't. Tears run down her face, but she stares at me steadily.
Why are you trying so hard to help me?
I'd say that's because I owe you one for helping me out when we first met, but that wouldn't be the truth. Truth is, I just want you to be happy, because I love you. Have I ever said that before? We've been in a relationship, and it's been pretty obvious that I love her, but did I ever actually speak the words?
What did you say?
I say it again, savoring the feeling of being able to say it at all, being able to say it and mean it. Emmy seems stunned. I said I love you, Emmy. I love you. Just you. That makes me want to stand by you, no matter what you have to face. I'm wrapped in a fierce hug then, as Emmy begins to sob against my chest.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about everything, but I'm so scared, Hisao. I'm so scared of losing you, and I love you too, but I can't lose you. I'm so sorry.
I hold her quietly, shushing her until she settles down. She steps back, a little more composed.
Will you come with me tomorrow? back to my house? There are some things I need to show you if I'm going to do this.
Of course. Maybe this time we can leave together instead of separately. Emmy grins, a sudden flash of brightness that seems more genuine than anything I've seen in the past week.
Yeah, maybe.
The lunch bell rings and I curse the universe's poor sense of timing. Are you free tonight? We can talk more then, right? Emmy shakes her head.
Sorry, Sal, but I'm still helping the track team. Plus, I don't think it would be good if we talked this over tonight. I'm gonna be too tired to think properly, and I want to be able to tell you everything without screwing it up. You can wait, right?
Even now, there's a bit of fear in her voice. I smile and rest a hand on her shoulder. Okay, I'll be waiting. Emmy gives me a quick kiss before she heads for the stairwell.
Thanks, Sal. See you tomorrow morning.
Wouldn't miss it. I head down the stairs with the feel of her lips on mine, suddenly aware of how much I've missed that sensation. I'll have to remember to thank Rin for getting us to talk to one another. Well, it's possible she won't even realize what she's done. Still, if not for her, I doubt I'd ever been able to confront Emmy again. Guess I need more help than I realized. Tomorrow, however, I'll need to stand alone through whatever Emmy's trying to work herself up to doing. I'll be up to the task. I hope. The morning sun is bright through my open window, and the sound of my alarm quickly has me up and about. I slept surprisingly well last night. God damn it, pressed the button. Secure in the knowledge that, god damn, I tricked the alarm. Secure in the knowledge that at least I've got another chance with Emmy. If I can keep myself from doing anything stupid, maybe I'll find out what's been eating her recently. I have a few educated guesses, but nothing concrete. Certainly nothing that I'm going to say to her. I'd much prefer to have her tell me herself. Although I can't help remembering the nurse's warning that I might not like what she has to say. Do I really need to know that badly? What if it's something awful that makes me repulsed by her? Can I really say that I'm prepared to handle whatever she has to say regardless of what it is? Emmy said she wanted to tell me without screwing it up. The hell did she mean by that? What's there to screw up? I suppose there's not much use worrying about it though. I'll find out today. It occurs to me that I really need a run this morning, to clear my head if nothing else. Emmy is waiting for me as promised, looking a little haggard, but otherwise bright and cheerful. Much more so than any previous day this week.
Hey, Sal, you're late.
I wave my hand dismissively. Nonsense, you're just early. Emmy grins back, and it feels like we're finally back where we should be with one another. Except now Emmy, not just me, wants to take another step forward. Although a part of me worries that she'll back out at the last second.
Hurry up and stretch, Sal. I don't want to miss the bus.
The bus?
I said I wanted you to come back to my house, remember? I promised Mom we'd be there in time for lunch, so I wanted to hurry.
Early start, huh?
It's more for my mom's benefit than anything else.
Nah, well, that's okay. I unsuccessfully tried to guess what Emmy has planned shortly before realizing that it doesn't matter that much to me. I quickly go through my warm-up routine while Emmy bounces impatiently from one foot to the other. She really does seem to want to get moving as soon as possible. The run is over so quickly I can barely believe that I haven't fallen over dead afterwards. Emmy set a blistering pace, and I, in my foolishness, kept up with her. Well, to the last few laps, I had to slow down just in case. But I don't mind, and Emmy's waiting patiently for me for when I finished. As patiently as she can wait, anyway.
Finished? Good, come on.
Grabbing my arm, she practically rushes me down to the nurse's office. You seem in a hurry, Emmy. Trying to catch the early bus?
Yeah, I told my mom I'd be back for lunch.
Well, I'll take care of you first then.
But he says gotta come with me too.
The nurse raises a single eyebrow at this statement and peers over the two of us searchingly. Really? Today, huh? Amy's response is a nod, followed by a surprisingly shy grin. Well then, make this quick. Amy enters the nurse's office, and I patiently wait outside for her to be finished, wondering just why the nurse seemed to be surprised by Amy's declaration. I feel like I'm missing out on some joke or the significance of today, beyond the fact that it is clearly significant in some way, of course. True to his word, the nurse has Emmy out of his office surprisingly quickly, and I take her place after promising to meet up at the front gate. The nurse takes my pulse and listens for a bit. Your heartbeat's faster than usual. Been pushing yourself again, have you? Well, Emmy seemed in a rush to get through the run, so... I'm not surprised. Today is rather important to her, you know. I suspected that could be the case, but I have no idea why that's the case. She hasn't told you? Interesting. So you're not going to tell me either, then? No, I'm not. I suspect that Emmy has her own plan for explaining today to you. I don't want to mess with that. You'll find out soon enough, so what's the rush? Now, as far as your heart, I would take it easy for the rest of the day. No spontaneous races or anything like that. Got it? Got it. She won't have her running legs on anyway, right? No, but if you think about something like that is going to stop her. Good point. I don't think it'll be much of an issue today of all days, but still. He's trying to reassure me he's doing a terrible job. Quickly becoming more and more worried about what today could be for, like suddenly finding out Emmy's in a cult or something. At the same time, if today is such a big deal and Emmy wants me to be with her for it, maybe she really does want to grow closer to me. Maybe this will be the answer to all the riddles, to the sleepless nights and the sudden mood swings. Either way, I barely remember to thank the nurse before taking off as quickly as I dare from my room to get a shower and throw on some decent-looking clothes. If today If today is as important as it seems to be, I should dress appropriately. Of course, Emmy proves me wrong as soon as I reach the front gate, wearing your usual shirt and shorts, so at least I know it's not a terribly formal affair, whatever it is.
You're early, Hisao.
Not as early as you. Eager, are we? Emmy cheekily pokes out her tongue. The bus stop isn't very crowded at this hour, which seems to please Emmy. We end up relaxing a little as we wait. We sit in silence for a while, but I can tell that Emmy's trying to work herself up to say something. I don't have anything to say myself, so I sit waiting for her to talk. It doesn't take too long.
So, I'm sure you're curious as to why the nurse thought it was so weird for me to bring you along today.
I was a bit, yes. But if you're not ready to tell me... Emmy stops my sentence by placing a finger on my lips.
Don't tempt me, Hisao. I want to tell you this. I'm just uncertain as to how to go about it. I don't want to keep delaying or deferring. Just want to be able to say it.
So say it.
You know that's not going to be that easy for me, Hisao.
So treat it like running. Warm up to it with something, small and easy. Go from there. Don't do it too fast, okay? I'm a patient man. I can wait for you to get to it. Amy seems to consider my words, weighing them against what is probably a desire to get it over with. I will admit, as much as I keep telling Emmy to take her time, I wouldn't mind her getting it over with either. But somehow I know that Emmy probably needs more time than the bus ride will provide to get it all out, whatever it is.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Bus stop probably isn't the best place for this anyway. But just make sure that I don't go back on my word. I'll just say this.
She takes a deep breath and lets it out after a moment, says in a low voice.
We're going to see my dad today.
The words hang in the air, and I can see that Emmy's afraid that I'll panic and disappear in response, which part of me almost wants to do. It would be stupid of me to back out, or to suddenly abandon the promise I made to be there for Emmy when she needs me. The nurse thought it was so weird of her to bring me along. She doesn't bring anyone along, or at least I'm willing to bet that she hasn't before today. Today seems to take on even greater significance. What has it taken Emmy to even get this far? Ah. Why is that the best I can manage as a response?
Yeah.
I don't know what I should say.
Nothing, I think. Just promise that you're going to come with me.
Of course, you know I will. Emmy smiles wanly, looking a little relieved.
Good. In that case, we better get going.
The bus pulls up just a little after she finishes the sentence. Vague memories of my first trip out here come to my mind as I step off the bus, but unfortunately they're too vague to be of any use. I'll be the first to admit that I don't recall how to get to Emmy's house, so I let her lead the way. She seems content to walk in silence. I myself have no idea what I could possibly say, so the two of us arrive at her house, having said nothing since getting off the bus. Emmy's mother opens the door, doesn't seem surprised to see me standing next to her daughter. I expect that Emmy would have phoned ahead to let her mother know of the change in plans. Emmy, Hisao, you're just in time. Lunch is about ready.
Great. I was afraid we might be running late.
As fast as you were going this morning, I doubt there was much of a chance of that. I certainly hope she wasn't too much of a bother, Hisao. She tends to get a little paranoid about being on time when food's involved. I hadn't noticed. This earns me a swat in the arm from Emmy, who despite the serious nature of our conversation on the bus and the almost brooding quiet walk, has quickly become cheerful again. Probably to keep her mother from worrying about whatever it is Emmy plans to tell me later. This is about Azaki ushers us in, and in short order we're around the table devouring lunch, and realized how hungry I was until I got here. For once, I seem to be eating almost as much as Emmy. Goodness, it's a good thing I made so much. The two of you are acting like you haven't eaten in days. I skipped breakfast this morning.
Me too.
I had to catch the bus, I assume.
That, and I figured you'd make too much food, so it wouldn't matter if I skipped breakfast.
Well, it's good to know that I'm predictable. Emmy nods enthusiastically, and the conversation falls off again as we very nearly clear the table of anything edible. It is a testament to the sheer amount of food on offer that we don't finish everything. I lean back in my chair with a sigh and thank Mrs. Abadazaki for the food. I'm glad you liked it, Hisao. Now, has Emmy told you where we're going? Yeah, sort of. Is it far from here?
Not really, but we'll drive there to save time. It closes kind of early.
I nod in assent and stand up, ready to go. Well then, shall we? Mrs. Abadazaki nods and leaves the room to grab her keys. Emmy, I notice, has started to fidget nervously. Second thoughts? Emmy smiles tightly at me and shrugs. She's fallen silent again, which probably means that I'm right, and she's starting to regret bringing me along. Not that I blame her. She's done such a good job of shutting me out that I doubt it's easy to suddenly open up. Honestly, I'm worried that she's forcing it. But she said while waiting for the bus that I'm not supposed to give her a chance to back out. Since I promised to go with her anyway, I suppose there's not much of a choice. Can't go back on my promise, and she can't go back on hers. Let's hope that both of us are up to it. We're off. Emmy's mother blows through the dining room, collects the two of us, and heads out the door at a brisk pace. Now I know where her daughter gets it from. The car pulls up at the cemetery gates, and I feel Emmy tense up beside me. Reach over and give her hand a comforting squeeze, which causes her to relax a little. Emmy's mother doesn't follow us, explaining that she prefers to visit the grave alone. Emmy steps through the gates and looks back, as if to make sure I'm still there. We step into the cemetery. I don't feel comfortable in cemeteries. Gravestones litter the ground, each one serving as a reminder that someone used to be alive and is no longer. How many died young? How many were as old as I am now? When do I wind up with a marker of my own? How much longer do I have left? The concept of not waking up, not seeing Emmy anymore, is not a happy one. It frightens me. I very nearly turn around and exit right then and there. I don't want to go among dead people. I don't want to see their stones and think about who they were or what they could have been if they'd only had more time. I look at the girl next to me and my resolve returns. Emmy striding purposefully down the path, eyes clear, setting a pace that's very nearly a jog. The sooner we get there, I suspect, she thinks, the better.
We're here.
A gravestone, wholly unremarkable in everything except for the name etched upon it. Grass has grown up around the base. Emmy's eyes are riveted to the stone. After a few moments, she turns around, looking surprisingly calm yet solemn.
Pink's not actually my favorite color, you know.
I know. It's blue. What?
I'm warming up to it.
Ah.
People tend to think that pink's my favorite color. I think it's because I like strawberries, and even though those are red, they assume that pink's the right color for strawberries. And that's my favorite color, but it's not. I'm too polite to tell anyone otherwise, and of course, it's not the kind of thing worth getting worried about. But I'll bet even you thought pink was my favorite color.
I mean, obviously I knew it wasn't, but...
Blue. That's my favorite color. My mom and dad are the only two who know that. Now you do too.
Thanks for telling me, I think. Yeah, that's like the one, like, that's a big moment of the game that I've just never forgotten as time's gone on. Well, I mean, to be fair, part of it, why I always remember that, is the fact that I do have a t-shirt that has Emmy's little chibi sprite on it, and I purposefully bought a blue t-shirt to put it on there. So I've been wearing that shirt for 6, damn near 7 years now, so it's kind of hard to forget that, yeah, I know what her favorite color is.
You're welcome.
There's a pause as she considers what to say next, drawing a quick breath.
I can't carry a tune to save my life. I can hum, but actually singing a song is something I've never been able to do. I don't mind, because I'm not a fan of karaoke anyway.
Well, that's one potential date idea out the window.
People all think that I'm really popular and a friendly person, but I only have a few close friends, probably because I keep everyone in the dark, but I think it's also because I hate the idea of losing a close friend. There aren't many people worth the risk. I'm terrible at saying goodbye. I sometimes think that I only run because it's what I used to do with my father. You're not my first boyfriend. I dated a guy for a long while during my second year at Yamaku, but in the end we broke up because I didn't want to get close to him. He couldn't live with that distance between us.
Her rate of speaking increases slightly as if she's rushing towards a finish line.
I'm actually 1 year older than you. Everybody thinks I'm younger because I'm short, but I had to skip one school year because of my accident. They initially thought I was paralyzed when they pulled me out of the wreckage. I'd lost my legs already, but they were afraid that I wouldn't even be able to use what was left of them. After surgery, it was clear that their initial assessment was mistaken. Couldn't feel my legs because of shock, short-term paralysis due to the other trauma I'd experienced. My recovery was one of the fastest they'd ever seen, or so they told me. I never found out if they were serious about that or if they told that to all the patients learning to walk again.
She pauses, gathering herself for one last effort.
8 years ago today, I lost my legs, and I lost my father as well. He died on the way to the hospital. I didn't even get to go to the gravesite until 2 months later and couldn't attend his funeral.
I'm so sorry.
Don't be. That's why everyone always says that they're sorry. I hate hearing that. Like anyone could have done anything to change what happened.
God. And see, that's something I connect with too. There's been times I bring up like unfortunate times in my life, and I always hear people say, "Oh, I'm sorry about that." It's like I understand the intention behind it, and I don't like snap at people when they say it, but this is like something that a feeling that always resides in my own mind of like, don't be sorry. Like, what could you have done to change anything?
You know the best piece of advice I got? These things happen. I don't even remember who said it, but I guess they didn't have anything better to say. But it's true, you know? These things happen. There's nothing you can do about it. They aren't necessarily planned, and they aren't always bad, and they aren't always good, but they are. So I made the decision that I would live without worrying about the future, and to be sure that I never had to say goodbye again, I decided I wouldn't let people get close to me anymore. After all, they could be taken away at any time, and you know what?
She laughs a little bitterly. I start to well up with tears, and I step forward to embrace her, but she holds up a hand to stop me.
I'm finished.
Deep breath, and she continues.
It worked pretty well. Until I met you and saw that you were trying to adjust to stuff here, so I thought I'd help, and then you were so nice, and I couldn't help it.
The tears are flowing now. She accepts the embrace this time. The rest of her sentence is mumbled into my chest.
I tried not to fall for you, but I did. And then I tried to keep you at a distance, like with my first boyfriend, but I couldn't. I've been so scared, because I don't want to lose you, and I might anyway.
Hey, I'm still around, right? Maybe I won't be forever. Don't you think it'll be fun while it lasts? Neither of us could survive the day. There could be a bus crash or something. But so long as I know that I've been with you, I don't think it matters. Sudden thought strikes me and I can't help but laughing. My condition had scared me of dying so badly that I immediately seized on the opportunity Emmy presented to improve my odds of living longer. Without Emmy, would there have been any motivation to keep up with my running? It hits me that Emmy is the reason I want to go running every day, so I can spend as much time with her as possible. Emmy looks up at me confused. We'll go on living until we stop. When we stop living, we'll be able to know that at least we had time together. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Because I love you, Emmy. And right now, that's enough for me. Emmy smiles through tears and steps back from me.
You know, it's funny.
What is?
I thought that the best way to live in the moment was to do it alone. But now I don't think I'd have it any other way either. I'm glad I met you, Isao.
Well, these things happen. Emmy and I stay by the grave for a while as Emmy pays her respects to her father. When she's ready to go, we exit the graveyard side by side. Emmy's mother drives us back to Yamaka. The trip back is very quiet. We wave goodbye as the car drives off, and I glance down at the girl leaning on my arm. How are you feeling? Emmy shrugs noncommittally.
I'll be fine. Come on, let's go.
We pause outside the girl's dorm, and I turn to face Emmy, ready to say goodbye.
Why don't you come up for a while?
Okay. Don't have to ask me twice. Walk up to her room is in silence. I'm not sure why I supposed I'd be turned away at the door. I guess I just assumed she wanted to be alone. Her mom, the nurse, hell, everyone who knew the significance of today seemed to think it best to leave Emmy alone. But she took me into the graveyard with her. She told me the whole story of what happened on the day she lost her legs. She wanted me around. The significance of this does not escape me. Emmy opens the door and steps into her room, not even bothering to invite me in, holding the door for me expectantly. I step in and the door swings shut behind me.
Hey, can I ask you a favor?
Sure, can't guarantee I'll do it, but... Emmy giggles and pulls me into a kiss that starts out soft but deepens into something almost desperate.
Stay with me, please?
Her voice is dropped to a whisper. The question is barely audible over the sound of my own breathing. There's something about the way that she asks that question, the hesitancy in it, the quiet voice, that makes me think she doesn't mean tonight. No, she means exactly what she said. Stay with me. Not tonight, or forever, because both of us know there's no such thing as forever. There's no time limit to a request. There's just the request, the favor. Can I do that? Can I stay with her? Of course. We embrace again, Emmy guiding me towards her bed, stepping backwards with care until she sits down on the edge. The morning light seems to reach further into Emmy's room than it does into mine. This results in my waking up earlier than I would have if I'd gone back to my room last night, as had previously been our routine. Not realized until this morning, but this is the first time we've actually spent the night together. Small movement from my partner's still slumbering form causes me to look to the side. Hair splayed across her face, Emmy continues to sleep peacefully curled up next to me. It's slightly weird seeing her without her trademark twin tails, but it's also a look I could get used to. The small size of the beds here necessitates her curling up, but I'm pretty sure she would have done so anyway. The covers are nearly over her head, and I smile as an errant strand of her hair causes her nose to twitch slightly. Unable to help myself, I draw her a little closer, a move which she seems to think is a good idea. Steady breath raises a trail of goosebumps on my chest, but I don't mind. I'm no longer tired, but I do not feel a need to move from my current position. Emmy's warm body in repose against mine is far too comfortable to move. Gaze up at the ceiling and consider how it is that we got to this point. We've been close for a while, but not this close. Seems like only yesterday that she ran into me in the hallway and after apologizing decided to take an interest in my well-being. That grew into something else, which I at least was not expecting. One thing is for certain, having found Emmy, I'll try as hard as I can not to lose her. My morning musing is interrupted by further movement from Emmy. Her eyes flutter open, and she seems briefly confused by my presence in her bed, as well as her current state of dress, which is non-existent. Then she smiles happily, sits up, her face looking down at me.
Good morning, Hisao.
Aye. Sleep well?
Yeah, I did. Exhausting day yesterday, you know.
Think back over yesterday's trip to the graveyard. Yeah. Glad to hear you slept well.
How'd you sleep?
Well enough, although you kept hogging the covers. Concerns me a shove and a stuck-out tongue. I chuckle, and Emmy giggles a little, and we fall quiet for a while. I soak up the feeling of how right it all seems, waking up with Emmy by me, crammed into a bed made for one person. Something I could get used to.
Hey, Hisao. Thanks for sticking around.
No problem. Saved me the walk back anyway, right? This draws another giggle, but then Emmy's expression turns serious again.
No, really. I kept trying to push you away because I thought that was the right thing to do. You stuck around through it all. I haven't made any of this easy for you, but you stuck it out anyway. So really, I mean it. Thank you.
She punctuates this by giving me a kiss, pulling back and looking at me with an expression of affection. I reach up and ruffle her hair, smiling all the while. I'm stupidly lucky, I think, to have come through everything after my heart attack and to somehow found this girl is nothing short of a miracle. You're very welcome, Emmy. I couldn't bear the thought of giving you up. I'll even continue to stick around if you want.
I'd like that.
That settles it then. I don't know how long my heart will keep working. I don't even really know what I'll do after this year is over, apart from going to university. As long as Emmy's around, I think I'll be okay. Managed to help her, and she's managed to help me. If we keep doing that, we'll be okay, I think.
So, Hisao. What do you want to do today?
Yep, and there's the credits. Absolute cinema. I love this game, man. I fucking love this game, man. I'm so glad I decided to replay this. Also, yeah, I like this little scene here where they go through like the various stages of Emmy's design, the concept art and whatnot. Very neat. Man. Because that's the thing, it may sound corny as hell, but genuinely reading Emmy's route at the time that I did was a huge motivator for myself getting into shape. That's why to this day I go for like runs in the morning. It's why I even bother with exercise at all, is because, a lot of it is more so to do with, Hisao himself being someone with a heart condition. And while that wasn't my main problem, it is something I have to consider as well in my own day-to-day life. So Emi's story and also Hisao's journey through Emi's story has always meant a lot to me. It truly has. It's why it's something I've never really forgotten. It's why it's something I've always held in high regards. It's a big part of why this visual novel in particular was so important for me, and why I wanted to pursue exploring more of these styles of games. Because like I said, my first foray into visual novels was DDLC, which didn't really capture me, right? It seemed like a neat little experience, but not something that hooked me into it. Whereas this, being the second visual novel I ever played, it showed me that there are actually very damn good stories out there, especially within this style of game. And that's why I felt the need to explore further into what these games could offer, and I'm very glad I did. Like, obviously it's done great things for the channel, but also it's opened me up to some really great games and experiences that I might have never even considered otherwise. But yeah, I'm very glad I did this. I'm very glad I did this. It was nice just to go through this story again. It really was. Just to have a nice refresher of everything. Even though pretty much beat for beat, I remembered everything that was going to happen pretty damn well on the spot. It was nice to have the refresher. Nice to experience it all over again. Just leaves me with a smile on my face. I don't know. I think the more I think about it too, I think I've talked about it throughout these recording sessions, but I connect a lot to Emi. Obviously not physically, but in a lot of the ways she thinks mentally, for better or for worse in some instances. I don't know. Going through it was nice to go through this again. Being able to go through this story again, hear its message all over again. I enjoyed it. Very glad I did it. Well, like I said, this was just to revisit my favorite route in the game. There are still 4 more routes in this game. If you yourself are interested, this game is absolutely free. If you're someone who doesn't have a computer, just have like a mobile device or something, or just have consoles or whatever, I'm sure there's some way of getting it. I don't know, but I do know for sure that yes, here it is. If you have any kind of desktop or laptop, please check this game out for yourself if you haven't already. Totally free. And 3 of these routes, 3 out of 5, I'd say, are really fucking great in my opinion. 2 of the other 2 aren't bad. I'm not the biggest fan of Shizune and Rin's routes, but they're good. They're good. It's just that Emi, Hanako, and Lily are bangers. Absolute bangers. Phenomenal stories, and I love them. And, clearly y'all can see what my favorite is. But with all that being said, that is going to wrap up my revisit into the world of Katawa Shoujo. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see y'all in whatever it is I play next. Till then, peace.